They tell you prepare yourself financially. No one teaches you about preparing yourself emotionally.
Are you emotionally prepared to leave your job if you are looking to leave employment? On this week's episode of Financially Incorrect, I speak to Zaheeda Suleman, the founder and CEO of the Be Experience company and former head of brand experience at Safaricom.
I always tell people what I did in Jinadin and Safaricom for 20 years is what it would take 4-5 job changes in my industry. In Safaricom, the bonuses were pegged on your performance level and where you are in the company. So,
okay. Would you tell us what your last bonus was?
8 million.
8 million.
Yeah. I took that bonus.
As it is.
I didn't even tell my husband, I just went and I gave it to my lawyer and I said, those acres we saw, here's the money. I didn't even ask him contribute. Remember, we are doing 50-50 everything. Yeah. I came back home and I said, Nimenunwa, you'll pay me back whenever you're ready, or you'll contribute when we're building.
She breaks down to us how they handle finances in her household between her and her husband.
And we have a very good balance. We're very clear on what he's paying for and what I pay for. So he pays for school fees, rent, groceries. He does all of that. Mm-hmm. I pay for entertainment, holidays, internet, TV, water, electricity, etc.
Okay.
But if he was here, he'd tell you he's doing more.
She talks about the financial responsibilities she had to take on very early on after the unfortunate passing on of her father.
I was 26 when my dad died, and there was a lot of things I had to. I always say I was a child until my father died, even as an adult.
And the role that clients like Solfest have played in building up her new company.
So I met Bien for coffee at Art Cafe, and he said to me, we need your help. Would you please come help us do Solfest?
She talks about handling crisis in her career, and at some point, a crisis that even got her to think that she would be fired.
Hey, as much as Michael Joseph was trying to be a forgiving boss, even he was under a lot of pressure. So I took myself to his office on Monday morning thinking I'm going to be fired.
Every cent really counts. You don't do this personally because it's not a competition. But then the flip side to it is when you look at it, you're like, if it was serious, how much further could I drag out a shilling?
Hey everybody, this is Barrack. I'm the host of the Financially Incorrect podcast. It has been 2.5 years. We have had 150 episodes, over 150 guests. This is across Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And now we've turned everything we've learned into a game. A game that puts you at the center of your money moments, where your choices, your upbringing, and your personality, and maybe a little bit of luck, determine how your story unfolds. So now at this point in time, your boyfriend or girlfriend comes up to you and they want this really cool gift and it costs exactly what you have saved. What do you guys do? Oh, you have an answer?
This economy decided to keep our money and not buy the gift. Maybe next time we'll get them something.
So you got no gift?
Yeah, just words of affirmation.
Roll the dice. This is a financially incorrect game designed to challenge how we think, talk, and act with money. And we're launching it the only way we know how, with bold conversations and great whiskey. On November the 15th, join us for the Financially Incorrect Mixer in partnership with Singleton. It's not just a game. It's the stories we've lived and the lessons we've learned brought to life.
The possibility of how to use free will, because at any point, anyone can you can choose to make any decision you want. So us deciding to take a loan at the very end, just to increase that. So people are making moves that you're not aware. You're all in the same market.
Sticking in your lane, because when, as you said, we went from it's 130 something, like with 19,000 percentage, but then it feels like a loss because of comparing to other people. So we did really well if we're not comparing to other people who have 5 million. So I think that's a lesson that stuck with me.
So here's to good food, great company, and financial literacy served neat. Hey everybody, welcome back to Financially Incorrect. I am your host Barrack. I have forgotten if this is a Friday or a Tuesday episode. It's a Friday episode, so it's a Friday. Happy Friday. I have a personal money story for you. I'm going to get through my announcements really quickly. If you'd like to submit a story, please check the link in the description box. Submit a story. The second announcement is if you'd like to help us with Financially Incorrect and growing this podcast, please check out the link in the description box and just go through that survey. It'll help us build a bit of a better product. Today, I have a personal money story coming to you from Zaheeda Suleman Arain. I think I have gotten Suleman. I have gotten. I've
no
corrected
I.
it.
There's no I in my
Suleman Arain, who is the founder and CEO of the Be Experience. I've gotten that right as well.
The Be Experience Company.
The Be Experience Company, yes. So anyway, welcome to Financially Incorrect.
Thank you. Awesome to be here.
Yeah, looking forward to this. We've been planning this for like a month now.
Yes.
I think.
But everything in its time.
Yeah, as it happens. So my first question has nothing to do with money or, it's just life. And I was in an elevator the other day and someone had their phone up, right? And so I wanted to find out from you, what's your phone decorum for people who may be within your proximity and have, we all have like really big screens and, the light flashes and like the text that comes up. Are you a person who would read the message on the phone or
someone else's?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yes. I mean, it's natural.
Yeah.
We're the same people. If somebody wakigogan and Gianni, we're like slowing down, we're looking, it's yes.
Yeah.
I would. Because I don't say it's natural, but I'm an inquisitive person. That doesn't mean like I'm standing in the lift, like looking here. But if it happens to happen, I'll be like, I won't be like this. But if I'm really honest, yeah.
Do you acknowledge it? So let's say like we're in an elevator. I get a message. Let's say I was dating someone and like they're breaking up with me or something, and like you can very clearly see based off. So if I'm like in the elevator, I can see that you've seen it.
Yeah.
Like, do you acknowledge it?
I have, yes. I will say I'm so sorry, or I don't think she was worth you.
Yeah.
But yes, in the right time. I mean, obviously, you can tell by somebody's body language. If I'm gonna come out sounding like I'm so shameless and pee type, but no.
Yeah.
Point is, that has happened where I've sat next to somebody, and their letters are so big. As with age, your letters on your phone will get big, and so they were writing something. And I don't know what I said, or rather, I think my body language, the way it was, the person who's sitting next to me in the conference looked and said, he said something, and I said, don't worry, all of us are going through the same thing. So it depends, but no, I wouldn't sit in a meeting with you and be like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
But if it happens to cross my path, I wouldn't be like,
like I did.
I'm sorry, I'll be like, yeah.
Fair enough.
Human nature.
Yeah. I thought about it and I was just trying to figure out like what's the decorum for like phone etiquette and other people's messages and stuff. If actually in the comment section, I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts and
I'm also the same person. If we are in a shop and you're picking something, or if you're the other day there was a lady who was buying something and I'd already bought the same product. Actually it was in Nanyuki over the weekend. There's a certain product that I really like, and I had gone in to buy that shower gel, and the lady was looking at it and she asked the shop attendant, is this a nice one? I said, I really like it, I think you should get it. I've actually come back to replenish my stock, so I see it the same way. I don't think it's invasive, it's just, hey, I use it, I like it, so I see it the same way, like we're all going through the same kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so into your story.
Yes.
What do you need to cut? Or you want to change the setting to fun?
You want us to start again?
No.
I could give you a different version.
This is going to be in the episode. Anyway, so getting into your money story, right?
Yes.
I said I did a bit of research. Try and get as much information that I could about you. I've got a little, so let me see if I got enough and if I'm accurate. Your mom is of Russian descent.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember.
At the time, the USSR.
At the time, the USSR. Yeah. And what I remember about your father, I think, was that he was an entrepreneur. And it didn't go as planned at some point,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And there's a trucking business.
Yes.
And your parents both sort of are working towards. Your mom comes into the business and to help your father, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So you went into my engaged story.
I have your engaged story, and then I have there's a really brief interview you did on Safaricom.
Yes, I did.
Something.
Yes.
And then I think there's like an article or two that I also found. Anyway, yes. So maybe you could tell us, the
So
origin
let
of
me
your
tell you
money
the
story.
story.
Yeah.
My father was born in Narok, third, fourth generation Indian. His great grandfather was brought here by the British. Actually, they were supposed to go to South Africa, but their dhow broke down. They were asked to wait in Mombasa. His great grandfather, obviously being curious, mangad, ended up in Kijabe, opened a shop there. Then in Kijabe was told, go to Narok, that's where the real money is. There's a lot of people who have cash. So he went and opened a shop in Narok, and that's where my father was born. We still have that home. It's still in the family. My father then got the opportunity in the mid-60s to get a scholarship and then go to Moscow to university, which is where he met my mom. My father actually left wanting to do a law degree, met my mom, who convinced him to join him in learning journalism, which is what they both did. And then they came back here to Kenya in the late 60s. And at the time, my mom couldn't work because of paperwork, obviously, but my dad was working as a sports journalist for KNA, I believe, but the salary was not enough. So his brother in Narok said, stop working, come help me run the trucking business. He had a truck, and they built an empire from that. So that's how it was. And my mom just naturally was not what I've always said this, and it's something I love about my mom was never a homemaker. She just was a go-getter. In her time, was probably ahead. Both my parents were ahead of the thinking and what they wanted for their daughters and their son. My dad's side of the family was very much the girls are, at the time brought up to get married, to have children, and to be homemakers. And my dad and mom said that was not our story. That wasn't going to be us. So they wanted a lot more for themselves and for their children, which they did beautifully. But yes, my mom went in to help my dad with the trucking business. Interestingly, she was the one who was more on the road and he was at home running the base. And when I say base, the trucking business was in the compound. We never had an office where my parents got in the car and went to the office. Even today, all our offices are at home, funny enough. I think one or two of my cousins have an office outside, but land in Narok, we've got the garage there, everything there. So that's how it is. So yes, you got the story right.
Right. A couple of things, but okay.
It's okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what's your first consciousness of money, I guess, as you're growing up? Do you remember?
Because when we're growing up in Narok, money, I would say, was the time we got a TV. There was a TV. So we're living in Narok. I don't think I was more than 7 years old. And one time my dad came back from Nairobi and he had brought home a small 14-inch TV. And I think we were one of the first people to have a TV. And that meant we had money. And I remember every Sunday, all the relatives would gather at my grandmom's house to watch an Indian movie, the latest one. But I think for me, the TV just meant that, and even when we were talking to other relatives and stuff, they'd be like, my goodness, you guys have a TV. Your dad must be rich. But that TV, I remember, was probably the first thing I thought, oh, we have money.
Okay.
Yeah. Far back then. Black and white little thing like this, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like your parents were, like you said, forward thinking and a bit ahead of the time, quote unquote. Did they ever speak to you about money directly, or did they ever teach you about money directly?
Unfortunately, no. My larger answer is actually a no. Money was very much thing culturally then. Whether it doesn't matter, when I say culturally, if you speak to somebody, I turned 50 in 2 months' time, and if you ask any other 50-year-old what was a money conversation in any household as we're growing up, rarely did your parents tell you that they had financial issues or that they couldn't make school fees. and we went through all of that. I went through a time where I remember my primary school was Kilimani Junior Academy, the one in Langata, and one time the headmistress came to the door and she pulled me out of class and my siblings and my cousins and said, our school fees wasn't paid, so, and then in Nyumbani. But we never knew we were having issues, right? So no, largely, unfortunately, no. Money became something from a family perspective. You watch, and we always think kids don't know what's going on, but they do. And so we watch, but we ever sat down to say, okay, we have lots of money, we're going on holiday, or we have no money, we can't meet your school fees, but you saw it. You saw it happen. And so they may not have verbalized it, but we picked up on it. I did, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of parents do that to protect their kids, to hide. Men do it because they don't want to bring the pressure home. Women do it because they're covering up. She'd rather go hungry. A mother would rather go hungry than tell her kids there's not enough money. But I think today that's changing. At least the way we speak, my husband and I, to our kids about money, the conscious effort to understand that the value of money looks like this. So my big answer is no.
Yeah.
The large answer is no.
Okay, I'm curious. Was there a struggle with the contrast of we have a TV, we have money, to being pulled out of class because they're saying we haven't paid fees?
Yes, because and then money is perception. Money, even today, somebody looks at you and thinks, hey, this one's not struggling. Because we've put up this perception of money, right? You're driving a big car, but you're not. I had a neighbor in the apartment block I lived in a couple of years ago who was driving the latest Range Rover, had an apartment, a beautiful penthouse in the compound, always had parties, but was never meeting rent, never paid his rent, and then never paid service charge. And so there's what we're seeing and assuming he's got all the money in the world, but on this other hand, actually he doesn't have money. He's living off this. So yeah. Just to answer your question from that perspective, the perception was, as we were growing up, that we were well-to-do, and we were, and being able to come to Nairobi and buy a house and stuff for somebody from a town like Narok was a big deal. That was success in itself. And again, if you remember, success in those days was you owned a home, your kids went to good schools, you drove a nice car.
Yeah.
And we had all of that. But then there came points, and I always say, it's not been a smooth ride when it comes to my parents and their money, but they did everything they could do in order to provide. So there were times we had the brand new car because things were great, but we've also hit rock bottom. So the conflict was never, Dad, you're saying we have no money, but you're driving the latest Range Rover. That wasn't the kind of conflict. The conflict was, and the not having school fees that didn't tie with there was a brand new car in the garage.
Right.
It was the seasons we found ourselves in. So no, my parents never put up a facade of we have all this, but we can't make ends meet. It was more of we've done great, but there's some hard times that we have experienced. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So there was no curtain. There was no curtain on anything. It was the seasons of what I saw money in our house look like.
I have an interesting question that may seem convoluted, but to me it makes sense, so I'll ask it. So what did you learn about money from your childhood and your exposure to your parents, so to speak, that you have had to unlearn
Loans.
as an adult?
Loans. I have a fear for loans. I have seen loans destroy people. At the point, my dad had taken a mortgage. So my dad was a transporter, but he also supplied, we had gas stations, but he was also a distributor of fuel for what was Esso, and then became, at the time, by the time he was passing, became, I would say Oil Libya, I can't, Mobil,
right.
And
which became Ola, which became
Ola. So Mobil at the time, about 5 years before he died, he had to take in a certain investment in order to have the kind of trucks they needed to transport fuel across the country. And so he took a mortgage on our house, as does everybody else, right? You're trying to finance a business. You've got this asset that can help you get more money to grow your business and pay that loan off, which he did. He took a substantial amount of money against the house and other things to fund these 9 trucks that needed to be manufactured, and not manufactured, but the body needed to be built in a certain way in order to deliver the contract. Did all of that stuff, and then he passed away. And everything kind of just from there. We couldn't meet the loan, etc. And then the bank comes for your home. And that's what I saw. That was what I said I never wanted to do. Again, I pray to God that I never have to take a loan. And that's something both my husband and I have been burnt by watching someone, a family member or a parent take a loan, and for whatever reason you're not able to meet it, or the interest rate is way worse than you can actually sustain, or whatever it is that happens. But we've seen that. And so for me, I think the biggest takeout I've had is, may I never have to take a loan. And it's something I consciously do. If I can't afford it, we'd wait for the right time to have that money, and if I have to take a loan, let it be from somebody that I can pay back in good time and return it when I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the loan, if you ask me, loans, no.
Yeah.
That was the big takeout. I saw what it destroyed us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did the right thing for the business.
Right.
The timing was wrong. And it took us rock bottom.
What's I'm wondering, like, even in that process of trying to meet those obligations, does it then create not extra, but additional strife almost of, now you're trying to figure out, okay, who has extra money to put in, to try and meet these obligations? Are those the kind of conversations that begin to make it a bit more difficult? Or is it now getting to the point of, okay, we have to give up the home, the family home, or the assets? Or what's the most difficult thing about it?
We were lucky in the sense that the bank that I spoke to, and let me give them a shout out, was actually I&M Bank, who my father had taken the mortgage from. And I went and I saw, I was 26 when my dad died, and there was a lot of things I had to. I always say I was a child until my father died, even as an adult, because I was still living in my parents' house. I was enjoying life. The last 5 years of his life, I could see the financial struggles because the health was taking a toll. There were a lot more hospital bills and stuff, but I was still behaving like a party animal. And then he died one night, and I realized I have to grow up. And growing up came with responsibility. I was the only child here. The rest of my siblings were out of the country, either settled or working. So I was literally the only person around. And so I'll always say I grew up at Nairobi Hospital the night they pronounced him deceased. And with that then came the responsibility of all the things you need to do now to ensure your mother is fine, because she was not a breadwinner anymore. She was unfortunately financially reliant completely on my dad. As much as my mother did, was in the business with my dad, worked as much, she never gave herself financial independence. And I think the other money thing for me as a woman, that financially independent. Even when I left my job 3 years ago and my husband said, you can take a year off and just be, I was like, sikai kwa nyumba. No way. Yeah. Financially independence. But going back to that story of having to grow up, so back to I&M and just giving them the kudos was, I walked into them and into the bank. Luckily got a meeting with Mr. Shah, who was very, very kind, extremely kind. I think most of any other bank would have said, we're coming for your money. We're coming for your house. It belongs to us. We've not made payments for 6 months. He was gracious enough. I explained to him. I showed him my pay slip. I said, my mother owes you, or our estate owes you 3.3 million shillings. In 2002, there's a mortgage of 3.3 million shillings on our house. And he said to me, we won't come for your home. just tell me how you can pay the loan. We'll figure it out together. And I walked out having saved the house, and been heard by a man who understood that the decision he would take would either break or make my family, and he chose to allow us to go and fix things. And so we sold some land, paid them the money, and it was painful to sell part of the land we were on. It still pains me to this day, but it meant saving a larger portion. So those are some of the money decisions I had to take that kind of shaped my thinking around that there are extremely kind people in this world. There are people who, if they hear your story, they'll give you a chance. At the same time, I know people who are monsters and will come. The day my dad died, there were people who were at the door and they're like, pay up. I don't care how, but you got to pay up. So I've seen all of that. So, the loan thing, that thing just, I think it scarred me. And like I said, blessed are those who don't have to look for it, for a loan, or have to rely, or, call somebody and say, hey, I need 25K. I can't pay rent this month. I get these people who have been through that also. So I just wouldn't wish that on
anyone.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that loan for me is
it's a tough one.
It scarred me.
Yeah.
Let me say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to hear maybe a little bit about. So I know you've said your father's passing on at when you're 26, and like 5 years on, you can see things that are starting to deteriorate, so to speak. But I'm curious about your sort of late teenage into early 20s. What was life like at that point? What are you pursuing? You've talked about partying. Is that where most of your money is going?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, finished here. I went to school. I didn't do A-levels. I went one term of A-level and I told my mom and dad, I was a bit of a troublemaker at home. I was. And when I tell this story even to my team, they're like, hey, Zah, you can't even finish a glass of wine. What do you mean you're a party animal? They can't, it's a running joke. Even with my sisters the other day, they were saying, if we meet, the next time we meet up, we're bringing wine. They're like, Zah, it's okay. We have your one glass waiting, because I'll push that glass the whole night and never finish it. But in those days, so again, finished, and then I took a gap year.
Where were you for your
Brook House?
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not the Brook House today.
What was what's the difference?
The other day I went back to Brook House after many years, and I had seen it rebuilt into the castle,
the Hogwarts thing,
all that stuff. And I walked in and I was like, munirudishie pesa zangu, because this is not what we got. We had a small dining hall. It was a big field. Our break was given to us in a small, I think the owner's home or something, that was converted to the kitchen. But having said that, my Brook House days were the best days ever. My high school days,
where was it in those days? Like rating it in terms of
I'd say medium
fees,
tier.
the fees,
medium
the
tier.
fees.
It wasn't. That's what I'm saying. It's not like
it wasn't
today.
It
wasn't like helicopters arrived. No,
right.
It was
right.
medium tier.
Okay.
Actually, let me tell you how I ended up in Brook House. Remember that thing of we couldn't pay school fees in
Kilimani, yeah.
My mom had it. So the next time they called and said, you're late to school fees, she said, let me do you a favor. I'm coming for my children myself. So my mom, in all her Russianness, and if you watch my engaged story, you'll see how my mother embarrassed us so many times, but I love it. And I do that to my kids today. So, they say you'll become like your mother. That's me.
That's a really funny story, actually. Sorry, the one that you said on, I don't know if you can say it. Yeah, the about being picked up from the club.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I can tell you. I'll tell you that story.
Yeah.
But my mom did many things where I was like, this one's going to ruin. If I ever get married, it'll be by the grace of God, not because my mother helped me look like I did social capital. But I remember my mom, and she would, in her really thick Russian accent, but also more than that, her just, like, as a mom, you expect that softness, and you walk in and she's like, please come. My mom would stand at the door. So she stood. I will never forget when my mom pulled me out of Kilimani Junior Academy. It stays in my mind. And I'm like, I should do that to my kids just to remind them who's the boss. But She came to the door and she was standing like this. And she said, let's go. And I'm thinking, what has happened? And you don't think, is everyone at home okay? It was in 1988. How old was I? I'm a 75 kid. Anyway, 1988. So I was 13, I think. 13.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, wait, there's nothing wrong with me physically. Why are they pulling me? But my mom's like, let's go. And she pulled me out of school. And then because I didn't want to drive around, we were told, find a school around here because we live near Bomas of Kenya. So the options were that, Banda School. Kilimani, Banda. We've been pulled out of Kilimani. So it was Brookhouse, Banda, Hillcrest were the only schools there. We visited. I walked into Brookhouse. I said, this is my school. This is where I want to go. So that's how I ended up in Brookhouse. And I loved it. Brookhouse were the best years of my life. So I was there from 88 until I graduated in the early 90s. And then I left to take a gap year. I really traumatized my parents because I won't go into details, but I was that problem child. Like I'll leave on a Friday, come back the next morning.
Leave the house on like Friday.
There were no mobile phones or anything. My weakness was dancing. So I'd go to Carnival was the place. We used to call Saturday night Bombay night. So if you couldn't find me, you just know I'm at Kani, you'd find me there. But money, funny enough, I didn't have money to party because now my parents are not going to fund. I'm on a gap year. No one gives you a job, So I'd get my 300 bob. I think Kani entrance was 200 and I had enough for 2 drinks for the night, whatever it was. And that was my relationship with going out and money. If I wanted more drinks like alcohol, they were bought for me by guys. But I didn't look for money to now go and drink my money. No.
Right.
I never drank my money. No. No. Not even today. Boy, no. Nowadays, my poison is plants. The amount of money I spend on my garden. I always tell my husband, so every time I walk in with a new plant, he looks at me. On Sundays, by the way, if I live on my own, everyone knows this one is going to buy plants. So I tell my husband, pick a problem. Do you want me to come home with new bags and shoes or plants?
You decide.
Yeah. So that's my new weakness, plants.
Okay. So that's sort of what that period was like for you.
Really like that. And then one day my dad was he was fed up. So I rocked into the house at 5 a.m. and I found him waiting for me. He was a 5 a.m. And I found him waiting. Most of the time he wasn't there. My dad lived in Kibwezi and then came. So let me tell you why my life was really good. My mom was very liberal, so was my dad, but my dad was the disciplinarian. That word, right. Yes. But I knew my dad would leave on a Thursday, come back on Monday. So my wildness would happen on that Thursday to Monday because mother said nothing, right?
Yeah.
I never expected to come home on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning early at 5 to find my father waiting for me. That had never happened. So my mom opened the door and went straight to the room. Like even her, she was in big trouble because
what are you letting
these are
happen?
Things that have not. I mean, he knew. He just thought it was being managed. But I walk in and I find my father in the living room. And I'm like, okay. And my dad and mom never got upset. We were never yelled at. I've never heard my parents yell, ever. We were not a shouting house. I've never, but if my dad got angry, you knew that's it.
So how would you feel it? Is it just the presence?
The presence. My mom was vocal. One time she wanted to discipline my brother, but because I always told her, you love him more than me. Instead of gongering him with the frying pan, she knocked me. She was so frustrated with him, but decided I was the problem. Those are stories for another day. But and he sat me down and he said, this life, this wildness can't work. You've been out of school. We're now in August. I've been out of school since April. It can't work. So you're gonna go and go to the US with your sister. I was violently opposed. I refused. I even went to the American embassy and tried to talk nonsense. Like, if you don't want to give me the visa, don't give me the visa. And I was being told you need to. I really tortured my parents with that. But then I went to the US. I went to community college for about a year. And then I was very clear that I wanted to be ever since I was little, I had one PE teacher in Brookhouse that I really liked. I don't remember her name, but I remember how she smelled. So good. And I just thought, I want to be like her. I want to be a PE teacher. So that's what I went to the US to do, was to learn. And so I did kinesiology, and that was my degree. And then I came back home after 5 years of doing my degree. I specialized in geriatric and post-surgery care, which was very exciting for my father because now at least this rogue human has a degree,
Right.
is stable. I grew up. Even when I went to the US, I grew up. Let me say that also. So I stopped that alcohol nonsense, etc. I went to the US. My father only paid school fees. If my sister and I wanted anything more, makeup, holidays, all that stuff, he said, you work. I got a job. I matured. So when I left the US, I matured a lot. Up until that, I was just childish.
Okay.
As you are. I'm 16. I left home at 17. So then, I'd come back home for holidays. I had my money that I'd made.
From
So
working.
I'd party with my friends. Going to Costa was a must do. We'd go, but I was paying for it for myself. If I was a little bit broke, my dad would help me. So that's how school life looked like. And then I came back with this beautiful degree in hand, but there was no job market for me other than working in a gym.
Yeah.
Because kinesiology, which is sports science, if I went to the hospital, I applied in RB hospital, they said to me, other than physiotherapy, which you don't have qualifications for, we can't see what you can do here, etc. So one Sunday I was driving around in Riverside and I dropped my CV off at a gym that was being run by a gentleman down the road from here. And on Monday, he called me in for an interview and then gave me a job as a gym manager, which I did for about 7 months, but then I burnt out. Because my shift started at 5 in the morning and I knew I'm supposed to finish at 2, but he would keep me there hours. So I just started hating the job and in turn hating what I had done. And then I came home and I told my dad, I don't want to do this anymore. I said, you're going to stick it out because that's how you're going to learn about the value of money and work. And so I was earning, what was I earning? I was earning 17,000 at that time, of which my employer would take out 9K for fuel.
He would take it out.
So I'd be left with less than, I think I was left with maybe 8K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that.
Money was funding my lifestyle. I didn't have real responsibilities of I have rent. I want to move out of my parents' house. From that perspective, I didn't have the roof over the head kind of situation where I had to worry about. So really the money I was bringing home every month was to enjoy life.
Yeah.
So that's how it was.
Okay. There's something I want to ask you around the distinction of the two ways you've used to describe is effectively growing up. Is you said when you went to the States, because of what you need to do, to fund certain elements of your lifestyle, you matured.
I did.
Whereas at 26, you said when your father unfortunately passed on, you grew up overnight.
Yes.
What's the distinction between maturing and growing up for you?
So you remember
what makes
seasons.
the difference? Yeah.
There was the seasons. My life in the US, I was funding it for the things I wanted. I wasn't gonna be hungry, or I wasn't, obviously my dad, parents, they sent you to university, they're not gonna be like kufa peke yako kind of thing. That wasn't it. I was funding the life I wanted. And so I knew if I wanted a new perfume, I better put in the hours at work so that I can buy that perfume. If I wanted to go on a spring break holiday with my friends, it was going to cost $300. We put in extra hours in the cafeteria where I worked. Then I know I'm funding. So from that, I matured from a money perspective. The growing up was, I became responsible in a way that was not money alone. It was almost like I knew I was taking over from my father. Having been the only child here, knowing the kind of space my mom was in. So one was maturity around money, and the other thing was becoming an adult from a responsibility factor.
Right.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Yes,
Yeah.
it does. Okay. So what's the next thing that happens for your money journey at 26, after the I&M situation? What's the next thing that happens for your money journey? What are you doing to pursue money?
So I worked at Jinadin, which is where I left after I quit the gym job. And I loved it. I was there for
This is the
3
PR
years.
firm.
PR firm, Jinadin Corporate Communications. Beautiful setting, family. Gina was a fantastic boss. It's imagine doing work with a family you've chosen.
What was the crossover difficult, or was it because of the connection? I mean, moving from not having any PR experience or qualifications and getting into a PR firm.
I walked in completely green. I'd never done this in a day in my life. I've not even studied. I've not done marketing. I've not done PR, anything. My story with Jinadin was very interesting. But when I was still working for the gym, I had taken leave I had a month's leave. So I had taken a leave month off to just kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And when you're on leave at that age, you don't sit idle. I wasn't spending money. Remember, my father was unwell. I wasn't. Now money was no longer funding a lifestyle. It was making ends meet. So,
Right.
but I remember saying to Gina Din, who I met, I said to her, I'm off for a month. Can I come and do something with you guys? I don't want to stay at home. I really have nothing to do. All my friends were either in university back or back wherever they were, or in school or working. So I was always at home alone. So she said, yeah, sure. We are working on a big project, the relaunch of Safaricom. Do you want to be part of the team that works on that? And I said, I'd love to. So my first gig actually was 25 years ago on the night of 23rd of October, where Safaricom launched at Carnivore. So that was like the first kind of exposure to this industry that I never even thought existed. I never heard of events. I just thought they happen, right? And so I was given gate duty. I was at the gate. I remember I had dressed up, and I'll never forget. I dawdled up, wore high heels. Somebody should have told me. And by then, I'm wearing trainers even today. This life of ours is not for high heels. But I remember standing at the gate, and it excited me. I loved it. I was just watching this ecosystem. And so I stuck around. We did that. We did projects in Madare, Kibera, all the stuff Safaricom did in, say, the first month of relaunching. And I really liked it. So when we finished that launch, I went to Jinadin and I said to her, as you would, please, can you help me get a job at Safaricom? I'll even go and do customer care. And she said, no, why don't you stay and work at Jinadin? And I said, oh, I'd love that. So I got offered a job, and I kind of learned on the job. I started off quite almost, you want to say, at an intern kind of space, but then I got employed, and then kind of over the past 25 years have been learning on the job. Obviously, I then went and did master classes in PR, kind of self-taught, but never went back to formal school per se to say that I need a marketing degree in order to say I know how to do this job. So that's how that transition happened.
Okay.
And then about 3 years later, I got offered a position as events coordinator at Safaricom.
Okay.
And took up that offer, and that's my transition into Safaricom.
Into the Safaricom space. Okay. Do you remember what you were making at Jinadin and what your offer was as well when you're getting into Safaricom?
Yes. Do you want the numbers?
Yes, I do. Well, they do.
They do, yes. At the time, if I remember correctly, 27,000 was my
take home. Okay.
And then I did my interview in Safaricom in December, and I didn't get my offer until about a few days later. But when the offer came, my base salary was 65,000 shillings. And then I got a fuel allowance of 55,000 shillings.
Of 55?
Yes. That then took me to almost 3-4 times over.
Right.
I remember looking at this and thinking, and I didn't want to move, by the way. I loved my job at Jinadin. It was a real struggle. I cried quite a bit before I decided to move. And actually, one of the big deciding factors for me to moving, aside from moving to Safaricom, which was such a, so I lucked out big time. I lucked out with Jinadin and I lucked out with Safaricom that I was working in two of the most beautiful spaces that somebody in my industry would want to work. Imagine saying you've got to start with Jinadin and then you've gone to do this for Safaricom.
Right.
And Safaricom, the most beautiful thing was we were never given limits about what you can do, not money-wise, but innovation, creative. I would come back and say, I want to do Chapadimbe. No one would say, don't do it. Just deliver it, but do it. So that was beautiful. But yeah, so the transition, the moving had, the biggest decision there was financial, because by the time I moved to Safaricom in 2004, my father had passed on in 2002. So now the financial burden was on me and my siblings. Two of them who were still in school. One had just moved into another country. So we were not as cash ready as we needed to be to my mom's medicines, for example, all those kind of things. So moving to Safaricom, a big drive of it was financial. Obviously, the job opportunity, even if it was not financial, I wasn't going to say no.
Right.
But the financial definitely helped and actually changed my position from being able to just get that lift I needed in order to ensure that we were able to make ends meet.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, I've got banks. I've got all these people who are now, after my father passing,
Who
waiting.
need their money.
Yeah. Not like we were awfully in debt or anything, but when your house is up for a mortgage and now your whole business is on a standstill. So interestingly, another interesting thing is when I was still at Jinadin, when my father died, everybody else in my family, not my direct family, not me and my siblings, we all worked. But everybody else in our ecosystem was self-employed in the family business. You're in the trucking business that has different branches to it. So there was Daily and Company, Keycrook Stores, Roadsters, all family-owned businesses. Everybody was in that. And so when my dad passed, I remember my cousin, who was the administrator of my father's will, came and said to me, do you want to continue working or do you want to come and run your dad's business? And remember earlier I told you I never thought I was born to be a business owner. I thought I'm here to work, and I chose work. I loved what I did. I couldn't imagine waking up and having to be called at 3 in the morning that a truck has broken down in Masai Mara. Where am I going to start fixing those problems? Or sijui fuel in Kibwezi has run out, come and replenish. Or Samburu, the Serena in Samburu needs more fuel. I was like, that's not the lifestyle for me. So I chose to continue working, which was another, I guess, financial per se decision I took that I thought suited me. And no regrets, I think.
Yeah.
For me, I think the decisions I've taken have worked extremely well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you end up working at Safaricom for, let me see if I can do the math. So you left.
Jinadin. I joined Safaricom 2004.
2004.
January 4th.
Okay, now I know, because I know you said your business is 3 years old. So it's just at what, 20?
Just about 20.
Just about 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
23 in the whole ecosystem. So 3 years at Jinadin, finishing just about 20 years when I was leaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about what this 20 odd years are like, from growing yourself in the corporate structure, both from a career perspective and a money perspective.
Yeah.
If you were to like trace back and try and find for me what key, whether you want to call them markers or key milestones that you hit in these 20 years, because by the time you were leaving, you end up with the title of, I'm trying to remember what it was, but it's a very senior head of brand, right? Which is not
it's a senior position.
Yeah, very senior position at Safaricom. So if you were to map out that journey with like the key milestones that you hit that allow you to be able to grow to get into this position, and to the level that you can share, what are the financial rewards as well that
Sure. First, let me say the biggest money lesson, and probably the biggest, the one thing I'm most grateful for from a money perspective was a friend of mine, my bestie, Christine, who I worked with at Jinadin. while I was still at Jinadin. By the way, I'm a shopaholic. I should say that. I really am.
Yeah.
Even at that time, when I'd get my money, I'd go to the next catalog. Captain Kariuki, Gina's husband, used to fly to London a lot. So me, I was always like, buy me this, bring me this, buy me that. So one day Christine called me. She was Gina's PA, and she sat me down and she said, with your dad being unwell and you having to look after mom, you need to be a little bit more savvy with your money. It's great you've got this money. You're doing well with it. You have your responsibilities. I do what I needed to do. And then what was left, ningebomwa, I was always looking for things to do with. Saving was never an option, right? Because me, I was still enjoying life. Whereas I've had to grow up and have a mature relationship with money. I'm still, remember, 24, 25. I still want nice things, right? Everybody does. So she sat me down and she said, you really need to open a savings. Do you have a savings account? And I was like, no, I just have my
Current
checking account at Stanchart. And she said, no, get in the car. And she put me in the car, took me to the bank. We went to Stanbic, and I think it was not Stanbic at the time. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And she said, go and open a savings account. And she said, in the savings account, every month you're going to put a certain amount of money, non-negotiable. And if you're not disciplined, I will take your money and I'll do it. So to this day, and I spoke to the other day, and I said, with that one moment in life is what my relationship with money changed from securing my money versus seeing it as just something else I'm doing. And so that was probably the biggest thing that changed my relationship with money, which was, remember, other things with money have been things that have happened to me, right? Up until this point, my dad has died, or umetolewa shule, because all those things. But the conscious decision of what I'm doing with my money came at that moment, where Christine said, get in the car, open. And I used to put away 5K a month. It's not a lot of money, but it made a really big difference a little later on in life when I had to find money for a certain emergency I had. And had I not done that, I don't know where I'd have to take a loan, borrow money, etc. So from that perspective, to this day, what is non-negotiable is that there's certain things that must happen every month before something else can happen with money. And that's where my discipline with money came about, was that there's certain foundations that must never be messed around with. So every month, there must be a certain amount of money
that you're putting aside.
That I have to put aside.
Okay.
That is a habit I've had since 2004. I will continue it even as I'm an old lady with my cats somewhere. I will put away. Yeah. I think that for me was the one lesson of soup. It seems like a small one, but it has helped me a lot, in the sense that even today, being able to even walk out and say, I want to buy a new phone, has come from the discipline of there's certain things that must happen or not every month in order for you to be financially free in the long term.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you start working at Safaricom.
Yes.
How exciting was that for you at the time?
Safaricom, I don't think I stopped being excited, because at Junadin I was assigned to Safaricom almost on a full-time position. So what changed was literally my paycheck.
Right.
But every other day for that 1 year prior, I was actually reporting to Junadin on Monday mornings there, but then the rest of the week, the contract with Safaricom was that I would be working from there.
Right.
The reason I got, or rather my position at Safaricom that I transitioned into, was created because the Safaricom Foundation was being launched, and therefore they wanted an events coordinator to look after the sponsorship marketing side as the foundation took off. So that's the role I went into. So dream job till today. Like, I always tell people what I did in Junadin and Safaricom for 20 years, 25 years, or 25, let's say the 20 years, is what it would take 4-5 job changes in my industry. I did things I think are just amazing from a brand experience perspective. Somebody once said to me that I lacked ambition because I worked for Safaricom for so long that why didn't I change jobs, and people who are stagnant in one job are not thinkers, etc. But had I left Safaricom to even go and try and do this for another brand, I probably would never have done the kind of things or grown the way I did working in Safaricom, doing the kind of things we did.
Okay.
Especially, or rather actually in my field, in brand experience, where you're looking after, you're doing this event today, you're doing that event tomorrow, you're doing this kind of media today, you're doing that media. It's a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, even today.
What are the three projects or let me call it projects that you're most proud of that you did within those 20 years at Safaricom?
Hey, there are many.
You want me top to three.
Wait.
Yeah.
Like asking a woman which is their favorite handbag.
I'm sure this is one.
Hey, there are many.
Or okay, if not favorite, most pivotal, like the ones where after this event something changes in your career, whether it's a promotion, whether it's, I don't know, money, whether it's
there were many, but I think the first one that kind of was big, had never been done before, was Mykonos Safaricom Live, where we were doing this countrywide tour. But what was very exciting was obviously the investment in the creative industry, etc., which I was very passionate about. Remain it so today, working on projects like Solfest, etc. It's just stuff that I love doing. So talking about Mykonos Safaricom Live was countrywide tour with all these artists, but more importantly, producing a show on stage that was live. We were not doing playback. Remember, a lot of our artists in those days were DJ run, etc. playback. This was, we were rehearsing every single day, 6-7 months, dancers, all those kind of things. Just being able to step back and look at the impact it had in the industry, working with, some of the best artists in the country. And we did amazing stuff. So for me as an individual who had put this on paper and kind of...
Yeah, actually, how did it come about? So
it actually started as Kenya Live, which I didn't manage. A colleague of mine managed Kenya Live. And I think it came from, again, investing in the creative industry. The world was, a lot of tours and stuff in the world were really based around live music, etc. Why couldn't Safaricom then invest in that creative, where a lot of artists wanted to have bands and stuff, but just couldn't afford to do it? You tell a client your costs are 200K, people are like, I'm not paying you 200K, you're only worth 50K, but you're trying to explain you have a band, you've got to pay your band, rehearsals, backline, all those things. No one's buying into it. But here's a brand telling you, we will put you on stage, you've got to pay your band, rehearsals, backline, all those things. No one's buying into it. But here's a brand telling you, we will put you on stage. Obviously, we were also benefiting from a brand perspective, but that's where it came from. I think the desire to do something different and to invest in the creative industry was probably the biggest thing. But also music, two things. Kenyans love two things, sport and music. Those are the two. If you ask whether it's an 18-year-old or whether it's a 50 or 65-year-old, the two biggest passion points in Kenya, research proven, is music and sports. And so taking those two properties and creating a brand asset out of them was my job, and the larger marketing team. So under music, we had Mykonos Safaricom Live, we had Classical Fusion. In sports, we had the Safaricom Athletic Series, Safari Sevens, many different things. So taking Kenyan passion points, things we love, and kind of packaging them into a brand asset that can deliver both return on objective, return on investment. So really putting what you put on PowerPoint and seeing it come to life was a big achievement at that time. So that was the first one.
I have a question on the return of investment, right? Because I will ask you, how much did it cost to execute this project? And then secondly, because there's a lot of questions around return of investment in the creative industry and whether it is possible to actually get a significant return. So for you who's sitting at the intersection of both sort of the creative industry and dabbling on the corporate side and the money side of things as well, how were you able to justify whatever figure it is that you guys were spending to execute this project?
Interestingly, with projects like Safaricom, Nikona Safaricom or Chapadimba, they were not about bringing the money back to Safaricom. It was growing brand equity, brand love, brand consideration, all those things. And that delivered it because, again, you're doing things the communities love. The creative industries also. At one point, Safaricom was the biggest investor in the country in sport and music. And so that helped people love the brand. Michael Joseph once told me, build the brand, the business will follow. And so our focus was around giving back to Kenyans in the biggest way possible, no matter how big and small. And people will love you and buy your product. And it happened. The revenue came in anyway. So it was never that we spent 200 million shillings on Nikon or Safaricom Live. Where is it? We knew it was going to come back over a period of time. But interestingly, a KPI that we were not necessarily chasing, but came about as a result was there was something called ARPU, average revenue per user, that we were measuring through things like sale of airtime and stuff. If we'd go into Kisumu over the 2-week period, you as a consumer who's been buying 100 shilling airtime up until then, the 2 weeks we were there, because of your interaction with the brand, you were coming to the shop to meet Sauti Sol, you'd buy more airtime, or you'd come to the concert, and as a result, you're topping up because we found that the users started buying in that period, instead of 100 bob, moved to using 525 shillings worth of airtime. So somehow the money was coming back. And you know where else it came back and actually made the business a lot of money was Skiza Tunes. Because when Kina Jaguar and Size 8 and Get on Stage, they were also pushing, you can get this song on Skiza, download it today, star 811 hash, I think. And then Skiza revenue started growing. And so Nikona made back its money without ever being not that somebody wasn't tracking it, but I was not being held to, you've not returned the money. Actually, your KPIs are, is brand love growing, is consideration growing? And then somebody in finance was like, hey, bring this property back a second year because imerudisha pesa.
So do you think, and this is more like from your expertise and a sort of professional capacity that I'm asking this, do you think that sometimes it's that corporate brands don't know what to measure to track their investment for brand consideration or brand spending? So because I don't know what to measure, it's difficult for me to justify spending 200 million or 100 million or even 1 million shillings on a creative asset, even though I know I will get it back somehow, but I don't know what to look at, and so I won't spend it at all.
There's that factor, but the more dangerous factor is you want your returns immediately. You think by doing a 1-month tour, by next month, my brand KPIs better be more. Nobody falls in love overnight. Even the ones who say love at first sight, don't be cheated.
Love is blind.
But I struggle when brands, even in my job today, are like, okay, so when are we going to see results? Actually, these things take time. So if you come back and in 1 month you're expecting these KPIs to be knocking it out of the park, then, I always tell brands, just give yourself a little bit of time because it's an investment. But I see a mixture of both. I've seen brands that are forgetting to look at brand equity as a really strong measure to where your brand is and the fact that it can be a revenue driver. I've seen guys track only revenue, forget brand equity, or track only brand equity, and then there's this side that could be driving revenue. We did an event for a client last year. It was a cocktail where they invited all the banks and distributors and all the people that they were kind of relaunching their brand. And the nicest thing they said to us after the event about 3 months later is that night they invited people with the hope that they would buy into their brand. And so as a result of that evening, 3 banks signed with them. And so for me, when somebody comes back and says, hey, it is a KPI that we hope that this bank is going to use us as a payment platform or will sign up with us. But it's great that as a result of the brand activity or the brand experience we've invested in, that we've been able to sign up and see revenue as a way, revenue is a focus for them. But the brands that I think are winning today are saying, okay, how are you bringing brand moments, brand equity as a key deliverable or an enabler to revenue? I'm a big believer of invest in your brand, spend on your brand, and people will buy into it. And buying into it isn't necessarily, it's not a cold relationship of some brands. Yeah, I mean, I'll walk in and I'll buy it because it's a necessity. But a lot of the consumers today are emotional buying. We have choice. What network I choose is firstly driven by, will you do what you're supposed to do for me? Secondly is, what else are you doing
Right.
that helps me love you more? And if I love you, then it's very difficult for me to go and pick another brand over you. So it's really that. Brands that are balancing the two and saying, I'm investing with an understanding that if I spend here, I may not see the immediate returns, but they will come as a result of those brand equity KPIs, I think win.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's the first event. Or the first one. Yeah.
Chapadimba one.
And so was it 200 million?
It was 200
It was
million
okay.
at the time,
All
which
right.
in 2012,
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Even for someone like me to have that kind of money on a budget line.
At that, actually, how much experience did you have in the industry when you were when you were in control of a 200 million shilling budget?
Experience in terms of money, or
No, I mean in terms of like career.
No, I was solid.
Yeah.
Nobody gives you money if you're lucky. No. Even corporate's not going to give you money.
Just
you have to deliver.
yeah.
I was solid. I was good for the money.
Yeah.
We were delivering. My team and I were delivering over and over again. And when we made mistakes, we put up our hands and said, the thing I love most about Safaricom, and especially working under people like Michael Joseph and Bob Collymore, was that they forgave you for the mistakes. And actually, you were encouraged to make mistakes in order to grow. But yeah.
Tell me about a mistake you made before we go to the second thing.
Hey, wait.
The one that you can share, not one that's catastrophic, but one that you can share. Yeah.
It was in Lewa for the Safaricom marathon, and we picked a supplier for the camp. Where Safaricom had invited our guests that we had used them before. They'd never let us down, but in this incident, I think they took on the work and just were stretched, and therefore couldn't deliver to us. So on Friday night, dinner was a mess. The whole weekend was just a mess. It was really bad. And I knew, that's it. I'm going home.
Like in New York.
I was like, I'm going home. But it wasn't, I didn't make a mistake like you've made a drastic mistake.
Right.
It was, but the responsibility is mine. And I couldn't stand there and start saying that the suppliers let me down. I don't do that. I think we die together because I chose you.
Yeah.
Right? I chose you. I should be able to stand for you. And I think that's really important is, I think the biggest quality is, it's great when everything's nice, but how are you when things are failing? So I even went to the kitchen and started peeling potatoes with them. That's how bad it was.
Day.
It was not that day, that weekend.
Oh, like
have you ever? I was smelling of moshi because I was perpetrating the motor.
Yeah.
Like, cook the food, do something.
Yeah,
we need
like
to survive. There's the ministers here, the CEOs of companies are here. They probably didn't notice
bad for me. Yeah, like
it was bad. It was bad in the sense that imagine you hire a wedding planner and nothing goes right on your wedding day. So you'll swallow that wedding planner. So I can't even describe it because it was happening, and I think my soul was standing watching this thing happen, and I was like, I'm done. But it was bad. It was just
and
the wrong
whole weekend.
It's not. If it was in Nairobi, you pause and you say change location or call in a caterer. We're in the bush. There's no. I've had an event by them. I need to make you guys laugh at the Safaricom HQ2. So not HQ1, sorry. So there's the SCC, which is the building where Safaricom first was. Then we built the new building, HQ1. And we had the launch of HQ1 with 150 guests. And at the time, we had the president, ETC, come and launch it. And while the event was going on, Serena had set out the food. But all the security guys went and finished the food, which was for the guests. So Nairobi is a great thing. I thank God we're in Nairobi, because somebody texts and says, can you please come quickly to the cafeteria? It's an emergency. And I'm like, I can't. The event is going on. I cannot leave where the president is seated there. Like, we have a crisis. Come now. So I sneak out and I go, and the event person in my team and the Serena team are like, the food's finished. I'm like, what do you mean the food's finished? We hadn't catered for the other, and it's a great lesson, but we hadn't quite anticipated that we would have a whole entourage of security and drivers and stuff who also needed to be fed and all that stuff. But good learning. But so I was like, so what are we going to do? And Serena said, well, we'll get you more food. You just need to approve the budget. And I was like, yeah, you just go get the food. So yeah, we rest. No one knew, because Serena went, and within the next hour, I said, we have an hour of, by the time the president cuts the ribbon and goes upstairs and does his tour, we have an hour. Yeah. So you have time. They said, don't worry, we'll bring it. But Lewa, who you're calling? I'm not calling anybody in Lewa. It was just you, your potatoes, and your jiko. So that's how, that was, you know, and hey, as much as Michael Joseph was trying to be a forgiving boss, even he was under a lot of pressure. So I took myself to his office on Monday morning thinking I'm going to be fired. And he said, why would I fire you? It's a mistake. We learn from it.
Did you actually tell him, did you ask him, are you going to fire me?
I walked in and just by his face, I was like, I know I've really messed up. Are you going to fire me? He's a really good boss. And he said, he gave me some good words about things, really good learnings. And then funny enough, we continued using the same company after that, and we wouldn't change them ever again. Best guys ever. It was just a bad year. Yeah. So it's a bad one moment that no one was punished for, but good lessons. But if you ask me, that weekend still plays in my head. So what it taught me is backup plan, 100%. Like, I can't tell you the wild weekend that was, and not the wild that's nice. The wild, like... Yeah, that chaos. Was crazy. Yeah. Okay.
So, what's another event you can tell us? Well, another thing that's happening in this 20-year career at Safaricom. What's the next big event or big thing that you do? Because now we've talked about the Safaricom Live.
Yeah. There's so many. I mean, like I said, there was the ones that I personally felt very connected to because of whether it was children that we got to interact with that never would have had those kind of opportunities. So, for example, Chapadimba, which is a football league that we started, that still goes on to this day. Just being able to go across Kenya and see 33,000 children take part in this league, and then bring these guys to Nairobi and they win, and then you're with them in London and they get to meet Victor Wanyama in Tottenham, and you're thinking, which job in the world lets you do this? Where do you bring a refugee child in Pokot is now coming to Nairobi to play football and is being picked up by teams. A lot of the kids from Chapadimba went on to play for Tusker FC. I think 8 of our girls went on to play for Harambee Stars. 2 of them scored goals that won Uganda versus Kenya. So just seeing that for me was really playing back to what we signed up to do in Safaricom, which was to transform lives.
Yeah. And so as all of these things are
Another
happening,
one.
Yes.
My third one.
Yes.
Because they tie in was the impact a music property like jazz had. You know, jazz was seen as something Bob Collymore liked, and therefore we're doing it. And that's what the perception even internally was like, oh, okay. But every CEO has a thing they like. Don't let any... Whether it's me in my current position as a CEO and the things I like, ask can I do, they'll tell you, Za, we have to do sometimes go and eat this because that's Za's favorite. Every CEO in every company has, whether it's golf or music or sijui what, rally, that happens. Your job as the brand person is to turn that into either a profit maker or a brand equity driver for the company. And that's what we did. If Michael Joseph or whoever liked classical music, how do we turn that into a positive thing for the brand? And I think that's what's important is what are those things we can do in order to they exist? How do you turn it as a benefit to the brand? So that was jazz for me, where I had very early on the onset, oh, you guys are just doing this because Bob likes jazz. Yeah, actually. Where is the problem?
Yeah.
You know?
So how did you turn it into a...
So the first thing was democratizing the ticket price to be something Kenyans can afford. We brought the tickets down to... Remember, jazz was very niche. The assumption was that only 2,000 people in Nairobi would come to jazz. Remember, jazz was played in Intercont, and the tickets were seen a little bit higher than usual. And not because the person's trying to make money, but there are costs that you're not seeing if you're not being sponsored by a corporate. Even today, for you to run a jazz festival, unless you have really good partners who are willing to not cut costs, but give you discounts and spots and stuff, you're not going to run that thing well. But anyway, that's a story for another day. But I think the first thing was bringing world-class acts in. So we brought in David Sanborn, Marcus Miller, we brought in Branford Marsalis, people that I was seeing on TV that I never imagined we were ever going to bring across. So one, bringing that genre of music and making it a genre that's affordable, that people love but don't have access to, was a big turning point in jazz. And then bringing a Grammy-winning artist, and a ticket is 1,500 bob. That was what was the game changer in jazz. And so in the first one, I remember we held it at the race course in February. Bob said to me, how many people do you think will come? I said, we'll be lucky if we get 2,500. Napa utapeana tikiti mingi. We had 11,000 people.
11,000 at the first one.
11,000, yeah. 11,000, and grew from, we were consistently at that. And again, using the power of what Kenyans love and turning it into something positive for the brand. And also making sure that people understood that this is for you. You know, Safaricom never made back its money from jazz. If you were to look at the spend.
If you look at purely the numbers.
Purely the spend, no.
It lost.
But brand equity, creative industry growth, all those things, those are the numbers we were tracking.
Yeah.
Those were the game changers.
Okay. All right. So we've gotten quite a bit about the corporate side and how things are going.
And so much about my previous life. I'm almost like mumelipwa.
What's happening on the personal life? How is your personal finances growing? How is that happening? What's the earning structure that you're getting into now? What does that look like?
I met the love of my life in 2005.
The love of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the definition of the love of your life?
For me right now?
Yes.
No, I'm joking. I've been with my husband 20 years, but I met him in 2005, and we were on the same wavelength. Very much the same kind of these seasons of finance. He had also gone through it. So when we met each other, we were broke as heck.
It wasn't trauma bonding. I hear about trauma bonding.
No, not trauma bonding. Actually, we still have a lot of fun. In that way, I always say that I lucked out, as he did, with each other. But no, we were, luckily for us when we met, financial wasn't a driver of why we were together. And I say this really carefully because he was a breadwinner in his home, responsible for his mom and sister, and was working to make ends meet. And on this other hand, I have siblings as well. They're not around, and I'm holding more responsibility than they are. Though I have fantastic siblings who have gone through this journey because I have sisters and a brother who none of us allowed the other to fail. Whoever could come through with whatever they could, did so.
Right.
And there's no regrets there. So I think we both met each other on a wavelength where we both understood where we were in each other's lives. And so from a financial perspective, we always laugh. I think he had this amount in his, and actually our first date was in Pizza Inn. Was it in Pizza Inn? It was here in Epic Center. And it was a pizza that cost 700 bob, and I can still taste it because it was really horrible. And I remember when I got home, first date, I removed my 1,000 shilling and I left it in his car. Because I was like, ain't no man paying my bills.
Yeah.
So the next day he called me and he said, why did you leave money in the car? And I said to him, I'm paying for my dinner. And he said, no, I took you out on a date, but money has always been for me. And when you talk about turning point is, we've always been an equal household. He wanted that from me and I wanted that for myself. And so that's from a money perspective, that's something. And even when I chose to leave Safaricom and start my own business, my commitment to, as much as we made some adjustments at home to be able to, remember me, I've been salaried. Remember that thing off camera when I was telling you?
Yeah, you'll say it now.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just, from a financial perspective, having a partner that is as committed as you are to making sure that finance is not a bad word in the house, is not a punishment, is an equal factor, whether it's the decisions around. At some point, I was also even earning more than my husband, but that never bothered him. What it was that he still punched at the level of equal contribute in the house. He does what he needs to do. I do what I need to do. And I think that has kept our marriage solid. It's kept our finances solid. So that's one of the, probably I'd say, when you talk about, I'm in Safaricom, I'm working, what does money at home look like? Remember now there's this external human I've allowed into my life, into me and my mom's life that has now come in, and now we've chosen to be together. Whereas it doesn't sound like financially does, but if you don't pick a partner that is on the financial wavelength that you want to spend the rest of their life, like imagine marrying somebody who's just spending all the money you're making.
Yeah.
Something's going to break. What will break first is the money, then your relationship. So that's been I wouldn't say a turning point, but a grounding factor,
right.
I would say. But look, let's talk about then what did money look like. Remember Christine? And that discipline she installed in me, that's the money is no longer a worry. I now have money to do those basic things I must do. Luckily, we still had our home, so I didn't have rent to worry about. But I had a car. Let me talk about this car. Oh my goodness. I kept my dad's Isuzu Trooper. And I need to tell you guys this story. My dad had an Isuzu Trooper that he loved and took him across Kenya, from the Mara to Samburu to Kibwezi to Mombasa, where he worked. It took my dad every year. The night my dad died, that Isuzu died with him. Next morning just won't start.
It just didn't start.
That damn thing, and that's the only car we have. And now, me and this Isuzu, I don't have a car, I have my dad's car. I'm pambanaring with this thing. Remember, I'm at Jinadin.
Yes.
I live in Langata near Bomas.
Yeah.
And my workstation is here at Safaricom near Sarit.
Right.
Ask me how much fuel was one trip in that Isuzu. There's no bowls.
And at that time.
And at that time, in 2002.
That time fuel was still,
not even fuel. Now today, if I wanted to come here for this, I would pay an Uber guy maybe 540. That didn't exist. A taxi from Bomas in those days, somebody wants a G. Hey, am I going to eat? Am I going to pay a taxi fee?
Yeah.
Anyway, so my fuel just to get to Safaricom is 500 bob.
One way. So you're doing 1,000 a day.
Trying to get that.
For 20 days, that's 20.
No, full time. Part of my recovery from my dad was I worked. I found everything. My escape from reality was
work.
The amount of hours I put into work.
So you'd work 7 days a week?
If there was a gig, if somebody needed to go to Mombasa to set up for Mombasa show,
it was you.
Me, we're going to Camel Derby for Mararal, me. And why again? 1, to keep myself busy. Number 2, to collect per diem. Yeah. Money. So that's what I did. So that was the other thing. So yes, now you're working for Safaricom. You've got more money than
coming in,
previously. Right. So there were some non-negotiables. But remember now, I've got a mom. I've got to pay certain things at home, etc.
Yeah.
So
and are you investing in anything
no
at this point beyond
zero.
other than the saving?
Zero investment, Wapi. No. First of all, there was no. unfortunately, I didn't have the education around investment. My dad did buy shares and stuff, but investment, child policies, all those things came along in 2007 when my daughter was born. Actually, no, let me rewind. My first shares that I ever bought, Safaricom shares during the IPO. Everyone was buying shares.
Yes.
I took a loan
To buy the shares.
to buy the shares.
Yes.
I'm whispering. Remember that thing I told you about me
the
with my
loans.
peers?
Yes.
But you would be a fool not to. So Equity Bank came to us as Safaricom staff, and we were given a certain amount of loan based on your salary per month. It was deducted. So for me, I felt safe. I took my shares. I took as many shares as was allowed at the time as an employee. I took a loan from Equity and then serviced that loan over the next few years, which was comfortable because I had a job and I knew. Risky, but I was okay. I still have those shares. I'm a diehard. I'm waiting for them to get to like 50.
How much are they? How much are they worth? How much have they exed now?
I bought them at, I think it was 5 shillings when the bell rang at the time. They're currently at 27 if I checked yesterday. So it's not bad. But the other day they fell to 14 bob. Wait, forget the 14 bob. They fell to 250 shillings. I drove to my cousin's house in Kileleshwa, panicked a couple of years ago.
They fell to 250. Or 2 shillings and 50 cents. Yeah.
And I bought them at 5 bob. Remember, Equity still deducting my salary.
Yes.
So I've gone for a mental breakdown at my cousin's house, who's my...
I have to ask, how much loan are you taking from Equity to buy these shares?
At the time was 3.3 meter, I think. I can go check. I have the paperwork.
So that you like you took a big swing.
But no, not me. All of us. No one was not buying Safaricom shares. My mother, who had no clue, came and said, "Buy me Safaricom shares." I'm like, "You've never bought shares in your life, mother. What are you?" She said, "I've heard." All my friends, even the Kina Wanjiru and Kalunde at home were like, "Ninunulie Safaricom shares, alafu kata pesa kila." Did
Everyone
you not buy Safaricom
no,
shares?
I know my brother did. I didn't.
All of us bought Safaricom shares.
Yeah.
No one not.
So when it
was
so when
like
it was hitting,
Beyonce's coming and you don't have a ticket. No, you buy those shares.
So when it was hitting 250, you were looking at, I have lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually some of my friends sold.
At that point.
Yeah. But I went to my cousin, who I would go to at every point in my crisis world. I talked to my husband, but he didn't give me enough. I was like, who is this? This one's not helping my life. Let me go back to... So I drove to my cousin who lives in Kileleshwa. And I was like, he's like, no. You bought Safaricom for long term. Stop panicking. This is what shares is about. And thank God I listened to him, because 2 of my friends sold. Regrettably. Even now they still tell me how they regret they sold the shares. So, but yeah, even the other day it went down to 14 bob, and I'm like, I should have sold them when they were 39 bob a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I'd be balling. But, that's what finance is, right? Those are risks. That's what. Yeah.
So now what are you waiting for?
Currently with my shares? Or long term?
With your shares, yeah.
Right now?
Yeah. Because you said you're still waiting. You're still
I'm
holding.
waiting. It's for the land. Watch out to end university, then I use that money to go on cruises. I don't know. No, not yet.
Yeah.
Long term. I was very clear. And my colleague Njoka Waita had once said to me, Za, buy the shares and leave them there. Don't think about them. Don't whatever. Collect your dividends every year, and then one day those things will hit a number and you will sell them and you'll be better for it. So I'm tracking 20 years with my shares soon.
Yeah.
I think soon enough. But there's money that is what we call passive, active. So I've also compartmentalized my money like that.
Yeah.
My shares are, you're in it for the long run. I have SACCO money, I have savings. I've kind of diversified the portfolio just from that perspective, where I have things that are high risk, and if they collapse, it's okay because it's not a lot. You allow yourself some high risk. But that base I told you about, that base must never be touched. There's a base that if I don't work for a year, we're okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the next sort of in your personal life again in through sort of this 20 what's the next big thing that sort of happens for you monetarily or for you guys?
Job promotions.
Yeah.
And funny enough, they happened every time I had a kid. There's a joke in Safaricom that there was a time I was always pregnant. I had my kids.
And you have 4 kids. You have 4 kids, right?
I have 4 kids.
Yes.
So my daughter was born in 2007, my son 2009, my third born, my son 2010, and the other one 2013. So yes, I was always pregnant.
For like
it was like a running joke, right?
Those like
but
8 years.
For some reason, there's that Sauti Sol song that says, when God gives you a child, they give you a plate with it. I'm a big believer of that. And because I've seen it in my life. My daughter was born, my first promotion came. My son was born, my second. My biggest promotion came with my third born. From a
financial
perspective, my biggest pivot was then. I then became an HOD with my last born. I was on maternity leave. I was told, we are now looking for HOD positions. Apply. I came out of maternity. I did my interview at Sankara, and I came back into Safaricom as an HOD. So those were the 4 big moments of my life in terms of money, because promotions came with money.
Yeah.
And money is the salary, but in Safaricom and other corporates, there's also the bonus per year, SAP, which is the shares program, etc. And those have been, very stable moments financially for me. My last bonus in Safaricom, my husband and I, so we did whatever I did in COVID. We decided we're leaving Nairobi. We must live up country.
Yes.
My dream was to do that in the Mara, but we never landed on a piece of land that we really wanted. So we said next is Nanyuki. So we went to Nanyuki. For about a year and a half, I looked for the right piece of land, never found what I was looking for, and then I eventually did. So the last bonus I collected from Safaricom in 2002 is currently a piece of land in Nanyuki. I took that bonus.
As it is.
I didn't even tell my husband, I just went and I gave it to my lawyer and I said, those acres we saw, here's the money. I didn't even ask him contribute. Remember, we are doing 50-50 everything. I came back home and I said, Nimenunwa, you pay me back whenever you're ready, or you'll contribute when we're building. But that was like the. So.
I have to ask. I think the bonus structures that we've had here, that we've had on Financially Correct, I think have largely been from Centum, I think. And at Centum, I guess at the very, very, very beginning, we've had people tell us bonus structures of up to a year of salaries, what they're getting in as bonuses. Is that similar to what you guys were getting?
In Safaricom, the bonuses were pegged on your performance level and where you are in the company. So levels, there's a percentage, there's a matrix. So there's not like your boss likes you, hallelujah, you are going to get more. No, there's actually a calculator. Even today, you can still calculate based on your performance, company performance. You plug it in, that's the bonus you're going to get. So you'd get a bonus as a solid performer, exceptional, 3 levels. I can't remember. I've been out for 3 years and I don't collect the bonus anymore. So I no longer calculate.
Do you remember what your last bonus is? Would you tell us what your last bonus was?
8 million.
8 million.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a decent.
Substantial amount.
That's a substantial amount.
I was pegged at exceptional performer.
Yeah.
And so I got 8 million.
Okay, and that's this your dream home,
this land
that's they're waiting for you. Okay.
Yeah. So I've also had a very shitty bonus.
What's the smallest bonus you've ever got?
I say shitty because I didn't agree with my rating that year. And so it wasn't about the money. It was about the fact that I didn't agree with the rating, but it wasn't. I was more fixated on I didn't agree with how you've rated me this year on performance versus what money I was getting for it. I didn't care about the money. And I told them, don't even give me the money. My problem is you've rated me where I don't think I belong. And so, that was, for me, was more about the principle of the matter.
Than the actual money.
I'm a big believer. If somebody takes money that belongs to you, it'll come back. But more importantly, I don't play games with money. Even today in the company, I always tell my team, the money that is not ours, the money that belongs to suppliers, pay it on time. There's no supplier today, even under B, who will tell you we owe them money. Soon as client pays,
you pay.
Finance pays everybody. Don't use somebody else's money to finance your things. I'm not a believer in that. So from that perspective, money, I think, comes with good and it also comes with bad. It's how you manage it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and this again I ask out of curiosity,
Sure.
not to pry, but you mentioned when you're buying this land, you're saying, things are 50-50, you'll pay you back when time comes. So I'm really curious about how your family structure works with a 50-50 input. So even if, so when he does pay you back, what would you do with the money? Is it then yours to then figure out
Not
what
really.
you do?
He won't give me back like, here's your 1 million back.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I borrowed it. No, it'll go
Yeah.
back in. If we're going to build on that land, he'll say, hey, you bought the land for 8 million. Let me contribute the first 8 million towards the bill.
Right.
That's the way it would work.
Okay.
But not at Tishika.
Like here's
No.
here's a receipt.
There's a balance. And we have a very good balance. We're
Yeah.
very clear on what he's paying for and what I pay for. So he pays for school fees, rent, groceries. He does all of that. I pay for entertainment, holidays, internet, TV, water, electricity, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But if he was here, he'd tell you he's doing more. Which I But what I'm saying is really that I am an equal contributor when
Contributor
it
in the
comes
home.
to
Yeah.
keeping our home running.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are months I pay more for some stuff because you might go on a holiday that's costing and there's no school fees that period, etc. So, but I think what's really important is remember that thing that I feel like didn't do justice for my mother was the financially independent.
Yes. Yes.
That for me is a big driver today. Even now, even like I told you when I walked out of Safaricom, my husband said to me,
Take
why
a
don't
year.
you take I was like, to do what? No. I'm Monday niliko kwa desk
Yeah.
ngoja gigs.
Okay.
Yeah.
This again, I want to ask for, I guess, the potential corporate individuals who watch Financially Incorrect. Beyond, and this I say beyond the pregnancies, like what are the things that are allowing you to progress in your career? Because you get to a position of one of
Yes.
one. I mean, a head of brand,
Yeah.
it's one of one. What are the things? And I'm wondering, because you also mentioned at the beginning of your career, because of your dad's passing, you're working 7 days a week.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, what are the
Not that the brand demanded it.
Yes, but
It's
out of
my
your
escape.
choice.
Yeah.
So what are the things that you have done throughout these 20 years that have allowed you to truly stand out, to allow you to get into the promotions, to get to the positions that you got to the corporate space?
I think let's talk from an individual perspective. Drive. I really made sure that I wasn't stopping. I was interested in what happened next. I was driven constantly. That thing for me was, I never let my foot off the accelerator. I've always told people I've worked from the time I was 17 and I've never slowed down. The drive to grow, the drive to do something better than the last time, the drive to do an event. I always tell my team we're as good as our last event. And that's also what I would say in Safaricom. So we did a fantastic Nico 9 LD. Kisumu has to be even better, that kind of a thing. Drive was the number one factor. And just wanting to grow. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, drive. That was the internal enabler, the internal, what I was doing for myself, right? Learning, looking at what everybody else is doing. Those are all the things that help deliver that drive, because you can be driven and then you're sitting at home watching Oprah.
Yeah.
There's a drive of, okay, I'm exhausted, but I'm still going to get in my car and go see how something is being done. And being bold. There's a lot of things I did, honestly, that sometimes I'd be like, I was pushing boundaries in a man's world, even in my industry.
Can you give me a practical example, if you can think of one?
Rugby.
Yeah.
The decision to take rugby out of RFUA grounds, take it to Nyayo Stadium,
Yes.
wasn't taken well, but we knew what it was going to do. Yes, it.
What was the challenge that, as an avid rugby fan at the time,
Yeah.
I know that there was
The ecosystem
with the Safari Sevens
loved the venue,
yes, Ngong Road.
venue, but it was
Yeah.
so small. It didn't allow. It wasn't driving revenue for RFU. It was beautiful in terms of that camaraderie,
the
homeliness.
community and
But then, if you move to a bigger space and you fill the stadium, the amount of revenue you're collecting,
what was the fear with moving to a bigger stadium for the move to
that
Nyayo?
loss of you've left your home.
That was the only concern. It wasn't
From the stakeholder
Yeah.
perspective. For us, we were very clear. You can do so much more. And remember, at the time, there was a bid to bring in what's the Rugby World Cup thing called, to make it as that status that hopefully Kenya can host it one day. That can't happen in one space. So just being able to take that decision or own a decision like that, and then have to almost work through it with an ecosystem that maybe doesn't even want you there in the first place. Most people want you to give them their sponsorship money and bugger off.
Yeah. So are you holding your breath when you force, quote unquote, force the decision to move to Nyayo Stadium? Are you holding your breath that it pans out, or are you confident that it was going to pan out?
Both. If anybody tells you that they're so like, yeah, it's gonna happen, those are when you put your head on the pillow at night and you're you and God. The real side of you comes to it. There are nights you're like, hey, if this thing doesn't work, there's a whole ecosystem. So it was a mix of both, and always tell people, go through the motion of uncertainty, go through the motion of questioning, because only then are you able to answer that correctly. Don't hide your drive. Doesn't have to be a constant accelerator moment of you're bullish and it's my way or the highway. Actually have some moments of doubt, because it'll help you answer what is driving that doubt and how to overcome that doubt.
What's particularly interesting for me about the Nyayo Stadium move is, one, at the time, a rugby player and rugby fan, I remember when the move was announced.
Yes.
I probably was among one of the people who were throwing stones about it. Yeah.
Yes.
But then also I ended up working at the secretariat for the Safari Sevens tournament that year. So I also saw the other thing
side of
come
it
to life.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember, but what was the difference? Because the difference was huge. I mean, in attendance,
energy, most sponsors, just everything grew. Everything exploded. And even the people who fought us at KRU came back and said, thank you, because you've helped us get revenue that runs the space for another year.
Yeah.
So everything exploded the way we wanted it to explode. And it worked.
Yeah.
It did. But there's those moments. In my current life, I took on Solfest in the first year of operations. And
it was in a COVID year.
No, we didn't do the first two.
Oh, you didn't do the first two.
So let me tell you the Solfest story.
Okay.
I've known Sauti Sol and Kina Moriasi for years because of my previous life. I worked with them to book them in gigs, etc. We did Nikona with them. I negotiated the Nikona contract with Moriasi, who at that time, I remember Moriasi came into my office. And I had always dealt with Bien before then. And this time they're out of the country, so Moriasi had just taken over. They sent me Moriasi, and he really pushed. That man really pushed me. And I thought I bargained hard. I thought I was a killer, but Moriasi really put me in my place that day. And I remember calling Bien when he came back to the country, and I was like, please, can you stop sending me Moriasi? I'm not going to deal with him. But today, Moriasi is the best thing that has happened in terms of when you sit with somebody like him and you just think his marketing genius mind and the way he thinks. Yeah, that's another podcast. But invite him.
He actually has sat there and he's talked about. Yeah, and he's talked about. He's not,
cut that part out.
No, it's fine.
Pretend I knew.
It's there.
So 2020 is when they do the first Solfest.
Yes.
Carnival, second one is KICC.
Yes.
The third one in August is the year I'm leaving Safaricom. Is the year. Anyway, that's the year I've announced I'm leaving. I didn't leave that year. I left as an employee, but I stayed on for another 9 months as a contractor in Safaricom under my company contract. But they did a beautiful farewell for me and two other colleagues who were leaving at the same time. Really nice. Like, if I was to say it was done, I was really happy. They invited my family. They surprised us with all the people we love. Everybody came for it. Kina Daddy Owen, Eliud Kipchoge did a video, all those things. Stuff 20 years of your life has been in one night honored in a most beautiful way. But comes Bien and Savara. And I'm thinking, wow, my friends have come. Sing for me Lazizi. I love Lazizi. It's still my ringtone.
Yeah.
And Bien sings and then finishes, and then he says, I need to talk to you. I said, okay, fine, be on WhatsApp. And this was a Thursday night, I think. And he said, Mr. Kuja, I'm saying bye to you I'm not here for your farewell. I need to meet you urgently. Now that you're out of this place, I can engage you. So I met Bien for coffee at Art Cafe, and he said to me, we need your help. Would you please come help us do Solfest? And so we spoke for about 2-3 hours. I said, yeah, of course. It would be an honor to do this for you guys. Remember, I'm passionate about these guys. I've seen Sauti Sol grow.
Right.
Their number one fan, according to me. I gave birth listening to Lazizi. By the way, to all 4 kids, that was the song in my ear. Just
For
so
all
you know.
4?
All 4. And even when my last born was born, they came and they sang. True story. I asked them to come. They came to visit the baby. Polycarp came with a guitar. They started singing Lazizi. Aga Khan Hospital chased them out because they were making so much noise. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I met Bien, and then after that we met everybody. I brought my business partner along, and we tried to take over that one that happened at KICC that year. But unfortunately, we were very late. We're now in September, October. It's happening in December. We couldn't execute it, so we picked up the one in 2023, which was the boys now taking a hiatus. That last dance show.
Yes.
We did that for them. We did last year, and we're currently working on this year. Yeah. So Solfest was probably, in this new life of mine as BE experience, was that make or break moment for me, because here's a monster that I've said yes to. And I'm the only employee in the company. Right?
At the time you're saying yes, it's you.
It's me.
Yeah.
And we've got friends. So the way we work, our business model, in our ecosystem, we're about 30 of us. All of us are freelancers. We all have our own companies. If you win a pitch, I'll come support you execute it. What is beautiful about this ecosystem is we've got a team of experts that will come in at the right time. And so there's 29 of us actively working on Solfest just under BE. There's a tech engineer, there's a sound engineer, there's a marketing expert, all that. But I looked at Solfest, I've taken on this baby, I'm now working on this project day to day with Moriasi, Kavuda, the boys, chairman, Mr. Kuria, etc. And you're working on this for 7 months, and you know how you want it to look on paper. But the responsibility of sending the boys off on their break in a beautiful moment is sitting with us, driving it into a profitable venture, looking for sponsorship, looking for the right ticket price, giving the consumer a fantastic product that they want to come back and pay for again next year. All those things. And so Solfest was a big make and break for me as well. And it worked extremely well. I remember so we did new things. We introduced a VIP night on Thursday. We did a behind the scenes ticket on Friday. We did the main show on Saturday. What people don't know is on Tuesday, it rained so much, it brought a lot of our sound and structures down. The rain was so bad, we had to stop. It didn't break stuff, just everything flooded. The show is on Thursday. Imagine you've built a house that then you can move into.
Yeah.
And I got home after sending the team, praying with everybody, because now you have almost 150 people on ground that are completely demotivated. We've been working on this project for months. And it rains so bad. The wind was so bad that, that rain ya kuchapa also, that bad, right? And I got home and I remember I walked into my room and I turned on the shower and I just started crying. It's the week of the gig. I've had emotions of months of the responsibility of honoring these guys who have trusted my brand to deliver this for them, right? And my husband's like, okay, why are you crying? And I'm like, I need to cry. I must cry because I think I'm going to collapse. And anyway, we wake up in the morning and everybody and we deliver this fantastic show on Thursday and on Friday and Saturday and delivered profit. And all of those things that you pray and hope that in all your planning is going to work out, and then it does. And so for me, Solfest was forget just financial, because obviously it was financially benefit to everybody. The suppliers were paid. Nobody will tell you anything outside of, no one from Solfest can tell you they owed money. And I think that's such an important thing, is that you are able to do something and do it extremely well and give everybody their dues, whether it's their flowers for the delivery of what they envisioned or financial benefit. But we just being able to see that from a financial investment, giving sponsors back what they deserve and more than what they thought they were going to get, all of that stuff was probably one of the other moments of doing things right and spending your money well. That was really important, because you as my client are trusting us with your hard-earned brand, right? You've got this baby called Solfest that is doing this amazing festival, and now you're trusted to deliver it at a better elevated
level. Okay. As you're leaving Safaricom, what financial considerations do you have to make now that you're going to business for yourself?
Yeah.
Because are you still, and what percentage are you now earning per month of what you were making before?
Why? Hey, less than even one. I took
less than even 1%.
Yeah. Okay. So remember offline, I told you about how having a permanent gig is so secure, so beautiful. So let me tell you guys a story. I take the decision that I want to leave Safaricom, and I make the decision. But before I go and give that formal, I want to leave, I go back to this my cousin in Kileleshwa, and I sat down with him. I've been telling my husband I want to leave. He's like, leave, we will work this out. But let me now go tell my cousin who's traditional, who has been by the books that you must earn, and who leaves a good job. And I remember sitting in remember he's the one who's been feeding.
Yes.
He's the one from Safaricom at night. I'd go eat before I go home kind of thing. So I've now said, can you please cook food? I need to talk to you. So him and his wife always have time for me. So I sit down and I said to him, so I want to leave Safaricom. And he's like, you know that dad of yours in Shags who's asking you what the...
Yeah.
And he's like, who leaves a secure job, your position, you have a big car, you have a corner office, you have a driver, you have budgets that people... Like, he's not understanding. He's like, I think he even called my husband and said, what's wrong with your wife? What is going on here? Who leaves a good job? He calls my younger sister in Thailand and says, can you please talk to your sister? She wants to leave her job. And I said, I'm not just leaving because I've been there 20 years. I need to do what's next for me. And genuinely, I thought my next was that I must be employed. I never...
You are not leaving to go into entrepreneurship?
No. Not at the time I had taken my decision. The time I had taken a decision to leave was way ahead of when I actually went to Safaricom and sat down to leave. You don't wake up and leave a job. You plan for it. I did. The first time I wanted to leave to do whatever I hadn't figured out was in 2020, but I actually resigned in 2022.
So 2 years.
It's been a 2-year journey. It's been a 2-year journey of, am I emotional? Am I overthinking this thing? All those things. Those 2 years, if you were to open my brain, you'd just find all that, But the decision to leave wasn't overnight. It wasn't driven by anything drastic. It was a well planned out journey in the sense that I knew eventually I wanted to leave. When it was, I hadn't set a date. I had registered BE in 2018. A friend of mine said, I think you need to register your own company, and I hope one day when you leave Safaricom, you will start your own events company, because I think you're wasting time sitting in corporate. There's so much more you can offer out here. So one loose day on a leave day, I called my lawyer. June, she registered my company. I never did anything with it until actively in 2022. But what does leaving look like from a financial perspective is when you're alone, you can leave and move back to your mother's house or call your dad for money or call a rela or sleep on somebody's sofa because it's not working out. When you're married with 4 kids and you have a mortgage and your corporate job is paying for the health insurance and stuff like that, and Safaricom's benefits are solid. It's pension, it's mortgage at a really good percentage. I think I was on 6%. And then I'm leaving to go and clock 12%. No. All those things had to be. So we sat down. The one really good thing my husband did and I did when our daughter was born in 2007 is we took out a policy.
This is the first daughter?
Yes, firstborn. I have firstborn is a daughter, next 3 are boys.
Okay.
So in 2007, as all of us do, let me tell you, 9 out of 10 people, I don't know if it's a statistics that proven, but it's in my head, take out the first insurance or life policy when their first kid is born. Few of us will do it before then. Have any of you got kids?
I have 2 daughters.
Have you got a
Yes, I do.
When did you take it out?
Upon the realization.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
All of us are triggered by, my daughter was born and I looked at her and I said, Hiya, there's a new human I'm responsible for. So that came with many things, including what does her future look like. So we took, and life insurance, not just a policy of education, we took out a life policy. I had one in Safaricom. My husband has one where but we have our own individual that if ever.
Yeah.
But when we signed the policy, and it's a real blessing, was that policy was going to put a certain amount towards the life insurance and a certain amount into investment. So by the time I asked for what does exit look like, you'll not believe whatever mortgage amount I had at Safaricom to clear that mortgage was the amount we had in this investment. So I drew it out and went and paid HFCK the full amount and said, I want my mortgage back. And so the first big move we made was paid off the mortgage.
Okay.
Health insurance adjustments, lifestyle adjustments. I was a passenger princess for 7 years. And a company driver.
Right.
I now drive myself. In fact, the first thing I told my husband when I left, I was like, wait, after drive, I must be driven. And he's like, so what? The driver drives the kids to school in the morning and then stares at you the whole day and pick. He said, no, we will adjust and we'll pick our kids and you'll drive yourself. And I've been driving myself for 3 years and I love it. The other day I was told, do you want a driver? I was like, no, I'm okay. Same man is like, do you want a driver? I was like, no. So lifestyle adjustments.
Right,
and then they've worked. We've not had to compromise.
What was there a car shift? And this I'm asking specifically from the Carol Musyoka episode because she told us she went from, I think it was a baby blue Touareg.
Yes.
To,
I love Fortuners. It's what the car had in Safaricom. So I lucked out. One of my husband's colleagues was leaving the country and he had a Fortuner. So when I was in the car search, he gave me a really good deal. So I bought his second-hand car, which is a beast of a car. I loved it. And then about a year ago, I had a really good deal in a trade-in. So now I have a new car. That I've worked really hard for. I didn't wake up to buy a Prado. By the way, 8 years ago, I told myself, and if you go to Kasoko, there's a very nice gentleman called Jim. Big shout out to Jim. I started in COVID, as all of us did, boredom on a Sunday when you need to get out of the car you've been. When the president opened up the country, we were still working from home. We were told you don't have to come in. It's still COVID. I used to go to Kasoko, the one near Village Market. And I used to go and look at Prados. And Jim would be like, okay, this is the new one. And he was extremely patient. And I tell him, Jim, I'm so sorry, I can't afford this car right now, but one day I'll come. And he said, no problem, Zah. The day you're ready, you come to me and I'll. And that happened a year ago. I was doing a conference at Trademark. And I said, hey, let me go Salimia Jim. And
so you went to the Fortuner?
The
and
Fortuner
left
was
with
parked
a
in the
Prada.
basement. In Trademark, I've taken a walk to go and Salimia Jim. But, I went back to Jim because he was so patient. He never drove.
Like a sale per se.
He never drove that I must leave with a Prado. He held me on the journey I was in, which was, you want a Prado? Maybe I could afford it in any of those 4 years that I really chose at that man and walked into Kasoko like I was coming to buy a car every weekend. It was just a dream, but I planned for that dream. And so I was very actively sure that that's what I wanted one day. I wasn't planning for it last year, but the trade-in value and the deal I got for them, even my husband was like, sign. So yes, I drove out. So
okay.
I was Very calculated, let me
Yeah.
say that. But yeah, and I take it as I've worked hard for it. It's a privilege that I have planned for. You know, people say you're lucky or you're privileged. Actually, luck, privilege, all those things are hard work behind the scenes that people are not seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have last two questions. So, you've told us sort of what the setting up the business was like. You are the only one, and you take on this really big project, and you manage to deliver it. So, what's been the last 2 years like? If you were to, I guess, tell us.
So first of all, I was
how
not
do you guys
alone
make your
in
money?
any of that. Alone in the sense that on my first day of operations, it's me, myself, and I. Your staff meeting is the three of you kind of thing. But we had an ecosystem of wonderful people, that are still my family today who came through. You really question yourself, by the way, that time. You've left, you start asking yourself, Kai, I left employment. There's no SMS of 25th, here's your salo checking in. None of that. That really, they tell you prepare yourself financially. No one teaches you about preparing yourself emotionally. And sometimes I'm almost like, give your financial self as much learning when you're leaving corporate to start business. Give emotional as much weight as you do financial. Because financial are the ones you see coming for you. Emotional, you'll not see coming for you. There are lonely moments. There's nights.
So you had prepared for not having work, but financially, but emotionally you had not prepared for not having work.
But it still is not enough. It's still not enough. Even if people tell you, oh, there were moments of doubt. There have been moments of loneliness. There's been moments of being alone. But then those same moments have been taken over by people. I remember one of my, and I'll forever be grateful to her. I called her one Monday morning and said, I'm going crazy. She told me, get in the car. We're going to drive around. We'll just do something. We'll find something to do. And you realize there's such a good ecosystem of people out here that want to help you succeed, that are the people I work with on the Solfest project. You think it's their project as much as it is ours as BE. They want to see it succeed. So yeah, I mean, just to answer you, it's not me alone. It's a group of people that want all of us to succeed together. And that's how we're succeeding, is because we call ourselves a consortium, because I got this gig. I need you guys, come through. Everybody comes through and does whatever they can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
My last question, what does it take to bring a brand to life? And it may sound like an ignorant question, and maybe it is, but like, what does it take to bring a brand to life? What are the things that you're, as an expert, you're taking into account to bring a brand to life?
Currently in our work, and we actually, our payoff line is we bring brands to life, especially because we're so focused on brand experience. For me, why I love the brand experience space is that's how a consumer is touching and feeling and enjoying your brand, right? You can say this water tastes great, but unless you don't give it to the consumer to drink it, you're just telling them it tastes great. They have to. That's the brand experience, that you've been able to drink that water, and as a consumer, say it yourself that the water is great, right? Otherwise, it's just advertising. So for me, brand experience is really important. Bringing the brand to life for me starts first with understanding the customer. I always tell my clients, who are you talking to? What do you want that consumer to say about you? That's really important. A lot of us sit in our big offices in the corner looking out and assuming that that there's this individual Gen Z that wants you to be talking to them in this way, or this is the kind of concert they want you to do, or this kind of gig. But actually, you need to talk to that consumer and find out what space are they in. And then how does your brand become an enabler? As a result of your brand, what are you doing in order to deliver to that customer, and deliver what the customer wants, but also what the customer doesn't know they want yet? And that's why I think, for me, I love Steve Jobs was one of the people I really followed through my career his thinking was ahead, his boldness, his courage. But he once said, the job at Apple was to give the consumer what they don't know they want yet. Thus the entry of the iPhone. no one, I mean, he was laughed at when he decided that he was going to do a phone that could be a camera and have music and have all these things and play video. Most of the telco companies threw him out. But that's the job of a brand, is to give the customer what they don't know. No one knew M-Pesa could exist or that there was such a big need. Banks were not banking the unbankable, right? So that's how M-Pesa came about. But that's where it is. It's like how... So I start with the consumer. For me, even today, if you come with a brief and you say you want to have a cocktail party for your podcast, I'll ask you, who is it for? What do you want the customer to say about you when they leave? Why are you doing it? Are you doing an event for the sake of doing the event? What are the KPIs? Is it brand equity? Is it brand, is it brand... Are you driving revenue? What? Then we take it from there. And then our job then is to understand, you're paying us really for our skill set and creative in order to be able to now bring your brand to life. So we then, as the team, will go back. We've understood you. We've understood your brand. We've understood the customer. We've understood your why, what's driving you guys. And then we kind of put that onto the paper and say, okay, because you want to do 1, 2, 3, how best do we bring that, your brand, to life through that? Because remember, the event is a medium in which the customer is going to interact with your brand.
Yes.
And you as the brand has many different ways you can spend your money. You could advertise, you could hold an event, you could send out the money to... There's many ways you can make people love you. You've chosen to do it. So that's how we go through the process of it. And then basically come back and really focused on our industry, right? Or what we do as BE, which is deliver brand experiences through in form of an event, is then we will then put on paper for you how we'd like to do it for you, which is what I say, bringing that PowerPoint to life. And so bringing your brand to life would really be around whether you're a payment platform that wants to engage with distributors and help them understand why this new payment POS system is great. Then we figure out how do we bring that to life for them in a way that helps them understand it, helps them love your brand more, helps them. So you're almost co-creating with the consumer rather than just speaking to them about it. So it's an entire ecosystem. But what we owe the customer is to understand your brand and then bring that PowerPoint to life in a way that delivers results.
So, you've talked about, this first year being, relatively difficult, right? And you've talked about getting that first gig, and then there were months of no business thereafter. And this, I'm asking from, I guess, previous interviews we've had here and experiences. When someone is usually looking to step out, they've had conversations with people about that they're leaving. And, you'll be like, when you leave. And as you leave, you'll get gigs and all those things. So what was that experience like for you? Did this ecosystem that you lived in come through for you?
Short answer or long answer? Answer is no. By and large, no. And let me say this with a lot of grace and humility. My biggest support came from places I never thought it would come from. It was fellow suppliers. I'll talk two fronts, right? They're the friends you think you have and the friends you didn't know you had. So let me talk the friends you didn't know you had. When I stepped out, my ecosystem is built of sound and tech suppliers, decor suppliers, merchandise, hotels, caterers, etc. And when I stepped out, one of the first places I had gone to do something, and I must call them out, and there's so many people who've done so many amazing things in this journey. Remember the friends you never thought you had?
Yes.
One of them was actually the Tamarind Group, the family. Martin Dunford, Miss Sumi, Lennon, Googie, Millicent, Chef Gabriel, all these guys who said, I walked back into Carnivore now as a entrepreneur, and one of the first events we were talking about was, I can't remember what it was, but let me talk closer to now Solfest, which we're doing in the second year of B operations. But that's not when they said it. What they said to me immediately I left Safaricom was, if you ever need anything from us, terms, and remember, nobody offers you terms when you're on your own. They say, hey, if you're getting terms from a supplier, that supplier is a good supplier because everybody wants you to pay up front. Pay up front, then I get services. Carnivore team told me, Za, if you've got a gig, we'll supply, you pay us after 30 days. And they said, anything you need. They gave me space to work, etc. I knew they're good people. I just never walked out and thought that those are the first kind of people I could bank on. And it came with other suppliers. There was a merchandise supplier who told me, Zah, come pick whatever you need. You know, you've been so good to us in your previous life. Whatever we can help with, decor partners, sound and tech, everybody who said, come, take what you need. People, even when we had gigs and we didn't, I remember there was a wedding we did in the Mara and we really wanted to come through for this couple, but obviously it was not a big budget event. But, you know, I asked one of my suppliers, I need this. She told me, Zah, just tell me what you want. I don't need your money. Come and pick. And Edu from my team went, picked everything. We filled a van with her things and she never asked for money for them. We paid. I mean, you pay because that's the right thing to do. Basically, we paid what the client had paid us to pay, but the value add, the stuff she gave us more than that. So I might say that I need 2 chairs, but she says, why don't you take the chair and the table and the flowers and the lights? That's the kind of ecosystem that we found ourselves in, where people that you never thought you could rely on and depend on come through for you and ask for nothing in return. They're just like, hey, we want you to succeed, because if you succeed, we could benefit, or just we are doing this because we're good people. And then the people you think are your friends and in your ecosystem, and, you know, the people that you've come through and you think you've come through in your corporate life, right? It's people who've called you, sponsor my event, and you know, I need you to do this gala night, could Safaricom, and you come through, right? And you think, because they're in similar positions in big companies out here, that when you step out, and I'm not asking you to give me a gig, it's not a handout I'm asking for. And I think that's something I will always say. Not once has anybody said, give us a handout. What I'm saying is, give us a chance. Introduce me to supply chain. Allow us to at least share our profile. And when there's an RFP going out, or when you're looking for new suppliers in a category, consider us. Those calls were not picked up for a good, let me just argue, 1.5 years first. All those people that I thought I could call, they didn't pick my calls. 0. Not one.
How difficult is that to come to terms?
Do you know where my business came from? It came from other people that I never expected would speak for me in rooms I was not in. Not the people I thought, hey, not that I thought you owed me, but I just thought, we've done this together, we've walked this journey together. I'm now on my own. You're in a position of decision-making influence. Could you maybe introduce me to your supply chain? Pooh, nothing, 0. Nothing.
Yeah.
I can count, I can tell you how many calls I made. And at some point I said, actually, you know what? Let me stop.
Yeah.
Let me stop, because...
How painful and how difficult was it to come to terms with that reality of not having your calls picked up? And what does that feel like?
At the beginning, hurtful, painful. Again, it's people need to be careful that we're not asking you to do us favors. I'm not saying I must do your gig because you know me. I'm just asking to be given a chance to be introduced to the people, to get to know what we can do, and then hopefully from there being given a chance, right? It was very painful at the moment, but it's the most beautiful thing that has happened to us at the same time. It's the most liberating, because now I know. You've showed me who you are.
Yeah.
Why am I calling you?
And does it happen overnight? Does it happen like you're head of brand on 31st? On 1st, you're not head of brand?
Yes.
And
Yes. Have I said yes enough times? Yes. And let me tell you how bad it is.
Yeah.
Everyone who tells you their phone stops ringing, believe it.
It does.
Let me give you guys an example. So I left on March 31st on a Friday.
Yes.
We went away for the weekend. It was, and on Monday we came back. So Tuesday, I'd created a home office, threw my last born out of his room, and I said, I need an office. I must look professional. I put a nice picture in the background. Did all the things you think you need to do. And now I'm sitting at this desk. My WhatsApp is not ringing. There's no ding on my WhatsApp. There's no phone call. There's no email. You set up a really nice at be.ke. No email. So I'm like, is this stuff working? So I write myself an email. Test. It comes. I call my friend. I'm like, can you write me can you email me? It comes. So I'm like, obviously email si shida. Phone is not ringing. So I called my husband, who also works in the house. His home office is at home. And he's like, where are you? I said, I'm in the house. He said, why are you calling me from the house? I said, I want to check if my phone's working. So I said, call me. So he said, what? I said, call me. I don't think my phone is working. He calls me and he's like, your phone's working. He said, what's the problem? I said, no one's looking for me. That was hard. I called my friend, Kavudha. I'm like, Kavudha, my phone's not ringing. And she said, welcome to entrepreneurship. I said, I think I'm going to have a meltdown. She said, I'm coming to pick you. Kavudha, thank you. She picked me
so she's
up
the one
and she
who
drove
drives
me.
you?
Yeah, she drove me around Nairobi to keep me busy. She's like, don't worry, it happens. Yeah, but we never looked back.
Yeah.
After that drive, we never looked back because I stopped waiting for those phone calls. Was it hurtful? Yes,
I mean,
it was.
and 3 years in, do you still have some of those days today? Or have they completely washed away?
Not those days of, oh, you're not picking my call, or you're not giving me work. No, I think we found our niche. We found where we belong. We found people who believe in our product. We're no longer chasing that guy that doesn't love you. We're now with people who actually are like, hey, listen, we like what you guys are doing. We may not be able to do it all the time, but you're the guys we'll choose every time. So we've got that ecosystem. So we're no longer looking for things in places where we know we may not find what we're looking for. Funny enough, and I say this with a lot of gratitude. The same people we were looking for, the same brands we were looking for in the first 2 years are now calling us to go pitch, which is a good thing. It shows we've grown. It shows they now understand. And it's fine. Maybe in the first year, now you imagine Zai sitting on her own desk. You're going to take her where to start saying, well, she can do what, and there's no office to. So I understand that. Let me say that I also understand that perhaps you don't want to take a risk on us because you don't owe us anything. And maybe you'll take BE to supply chain and BE doesn't even have an office. Maybe those are the fears people have gone through, but those same brands have now invited us to pitch. And so that's been actually a what I would say is a comeback in terms of 360 degree. And then, so yeah, I think it was painful, but also now we don't reflect on it and think, oh, you didn't pick my call. The same people who didn't pick my calls, I'd still pick their calls just because I believe in the circle of life.
Yeah.
Your position is a gift. It's given to you to make a difference in whatever way you can. When you step out, hopefully I'll still be there for you in a way I can. I'm not going to carry that you didn't pick my call.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't pick my call for whatever reason at the time, but I think the most beautiful thing is you've shown us, that thing of believe someone when they show you who they are.
Yeah.
Big believer of that. But it's also been a great growth because we went to places we never thought we'd grow into, and brands that have chosen us as we've chosen them, and we're building off of that.
Yeah. So you've mentioned, you've talked about Solfest quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
And
that
just
was like the big baby,
value,
the first big
like
baby
the value
we had to hold.
did. So are you able to break down for me just in a bit more detail, maybe just what doing Solfest has done for your business?
Oh, it's been great.
Yeah.
And again, remember that thing of build your brand, the business will follow.
Yeah.
This is part of that because when you do something as let me say iconic, Solfest is, and I know we manage it, we run it, but actually it's a homegrown product by Kenyans, fully for Kenyans. If you look at how many people came through last year, 18,000 people is not a joke in one night. So it's and it's plowing back into the creative industry. It's putting people on stage in a beautiful way. We're a production, we are not just you're getting on stage and performing. We are spending months on the product, rehearsals, costumes, makeup, dancers, all that stuff. It's a properly produced, no shortcuts production, right? That's coming through for Kenyans. So from that perspective, it's been a real joy to see something that a group of people that sat down and said, we can do this for ourselves as people, as for Kenyans, by Kenyans for Kenyans. So that's been something that we are really proud of being a part of it. And just being able to add value to it and see it grow, I think is also really important. Where there's the financial aspect, and the financial aspect is not cutting corners. It's giving sponsors what they deserve. It's making sure that people are paid what they're worth. We're very upfront. If we can't afford you, we go into a negotiation, and no one's forcing you, right? If you sign me up at a certain price, then I have willingly taken you on at that price, kind of thing. So because we're delivering a product for a brand that is, as Solfest is a solid brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer you, yes. In a
You have
short
answered.
way, yes. In
You
a
have
long
answered.
way, I've answered.
Thank you for the
But yeah,
thank you
Solfest,
for the
yes,
context.
yeah.
You have answered.
But also, let me add to something around the kind of brands you associate yourself with.
Yeah.
And taking on work yes, we need to make ends meet, but also there's a value to valuing your brand with brands that actually want you, that value you as well. There's a relationship of, I'm the client and you're the supplier and you're going to do what I want, versus the brands we're really enjoying doing work with are the brands there's a brand who told us the other day, hey, hello, we've hired you guys to do the stuff for us. Please do it. Just tell us what you want from us. We're not experts in events. And he told the rest of his team members, he said, please don't start dictating to these people what to do. They're the experts. Our job is to co-create and enable them, but don't start treating them like suppliers. And those are the guys who get the best from us, because you're then allowing us to do what we're great at doing for you. You're giving us your money for a reason. Let us work for the money. So the brand association also really has worked for us. Yeah.
Okay. So you meet this friend, you meet your friend and you have this first contracting gig by IFC, which is good money.
Met friend at airport. At
the airport.
Very nice guy.
And good money, and essentially this is one of the first things that you get. And at this point in time as well, because I think you mentioned it earlier, is you're on this 9-month contractor.
Yes.
As at Safaricom.
So at Safaricom, I've left August 2022 as an employee, but checked in September 1 as a contractor for 9 months until the end of March.
Yeah.
So part-time contractor work, holding the same position while they get the replacement in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, money is good.
I'm still earning.
Okay.
Yes.
So what happens when this period is over? This 9-month period is over. Yes. What happens next?
So remember, in this 9 months, I've got the contract with Safaricom, but I've also got this contract with IFC, which is good money as it is. And then March 31st, I walk out, and now you have to get gigs. Also, IFC is finished because it was a short-term contract, etc. And I do my first gig, not my paying gig, but supporting somebody, and I get paid. And yeah, you go from this, and I'll tell people there's something we're used to in employment, which is you're on 25th or whenever your employer pays you money, where you get that ping ping from whether it's M-Pesa or your bank, right? And you're so used to it, there's that stability, and your salary checks in whether or not you work. But when you come out on your own, you're as good as the work you look out for your own, right?
Yeah.
And that isn't as forthcoming. It's I've just stepped out, etc. And my first paying gig that I supported with was 50,000 shillings.
You're being paid 50,000 shillings.
Yeah.
And to give context, what were you walking away from at
over $1 million
Safaricom? Salary? Over $1 million.
Yeah.
So that's what you've left, and your first when the contract is done.
No, you're all things considered, all your benefits. Remember, pension, health, all those things. Put everything. And I always tell people, when you're looking at your next job, please don't just look at your salary. You need to calculate everything you're benefiting from the brand, right?
Yeah.
In terms of your benefits. You got car allowance, housing allowance. That's not what I got from Safaricom, but just to give you an example.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody tells me, I'm changing job, I got 10,000 bob more. Okay, 10,000. And then have you looked at everything else? Is your pension as good? Is your mortgage as good? Is your health insurance as good as it was? So from a benefits and salary perspective, the package I was walking away was considerable.
Yeah.
Even in today's time, it was a very good. Safaricom really did look after, and still does look after its employees.
And was that a simple thing to accept? I mean, the reality of earning 50,000, and 50,000 is money, 50,000, and I'm not looking down upon it in any way, sort of form. But I'm just curious, what was your reality accepting that from what you've walked away from?
It's a humbling moment. It's a come to Jesus moment, honestly, because you're so used to. And remember that thing I talked about earlier about preparing yourself emotionally and not just financially. Your emotion kicks in. You're like, hey, 50K. I left all that money. You really you can have those demons in your mind, and it's a journey. It's a journey of. You get over it. You have to get over it. Otherwise, you go back and look for a job that's paying you, because you'll never progress. You'll never progress beyond the money. And if you stop focusing on the money and start focusing on what you need to do to bring in the money you want to, I think then you're better off. But if you fixate on, oh my God, I left that for this, then your mind is not shifting. And I've always told people, when you're in this life of ours nowadays, with the digital economy, with AI, with all these things that COVID taught us that we didn't want to teach us, is fix your mindset. Your mindset is your biggest asset. Your skill set, the things you're doing for yourself, and your mindset, skill set, and tool set. Tools. What are the things, in COVID, one of the biggest things we did in brand experience was invest in Zoom and Teams and running things online. If we had not done that, our industry would have collapsed. Some of us would be jobless. So that shift of, yes, can I tell you, I was like, yo, I called my husband. I'm like, yeah. And the man was like, you need to get over it. You knew this was going to happen. Yeah, I knew it, but I wasn't expecting to feel like this. That's the reality. But yeah, I mean, I can be a lot more graphic about how I actually felt about it, but let me be ladylike about it. But the truth is, it was humbling. It wasn't easy. But nowadays, it's like, hey, we got money. We made money. Well, this is how and it's we look at it like, we got work. We're working towards great stuff. Sometimes we break even. And not break even where, these ones are just doing work for free. No, it's the project didn't give us the kind of billings we think we should have had. But again, remember that thing of investing on your brand, knowing that by doing this gig, and maybe it's not going to give you the kind of billings you want, but the doors it's going to open for you will bring that money back in many ways. So, yeah, but it was humbling. And again, I'm going to say this to anybody who wants to leave their day job to start being an entrepreneur. Yes, fix the financial, but also get ready with the emotional. And even as much as you think you'll have fixed your emotional capability around what that shift is going to look like, it'll still hit you. But when you fall, get up quickly and don't stay fallen. I think is the biggest thing. Nowadays, hey, we're like, wow, we got 50K. Yeah, that's fuel. That's in airtime, that's groceries, that's the kids' entertainment this Sunday if they want to go to the movies. We no longer look at it like before. I think, yeah. Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And there's one more question I have. It's a statement that you make around looking at the Safaricom life as a past life, so to speak, and not trying to achieve. Yeah. Not necessarily trying to achieve the same thing that you did then. So did you completely have to change your value system to be able to appreciate yourself now financially? Do you get what I mean? As opposed to compared to this previous self that's earning over 1 million shillings a month. Do you have to change how you value who you are and what you are financially to be able to do what you're doing now?
I don't think I looked at it and thought, oh my goodness, I'm no longer earning that money. I better be earning it now. I'm very much invested in what are the right decisions we'll take that might not always be financially driven, but will see us grow in a way that's sustainable, that we can make sure we pay all our bills. No supplier says we owe them money. The team get paid on time. No one feels disgruntled. All those things really matter from a business owner perspective. So I don't think I wake up every month and say, okay, I must have over $1 million because that's what I had in Safaricom previously. No. But when you look at it, when you check in at the end of the year, so I'm not blindly in business like, hallelujah. It's not a kumbaya ride. I'm not like, ooh, whatever comes. No. At the beginning of every year, I will have a plan that I put out with the team and with the accountant and say, this year we must achieve XYZ revenue in order for us to be considered profitable and our books to be good, right? Now, we may not get work every month because sometimes work doesn't come. Last year, in July, we had a big conference we had banked on, and Mandamano happened and the client cancelled it and they never came back. It didn't come back. So if we look at it from a month-on-month basis, yes, there's monthly targets, but there are months that sometimes, and it's in every business, if there's 2 or 3 dry months, we'll try and catch up with it over the next few months. So we have KPIs for the whole year that include where is our brand today, what new clients did we bring in over the year, what are the lessons learned, what are the clients who are bold enough to fire because it didn't work for us. Mind you, we've had to ask 2 clients. I say fired because it sounds, but the truth is we had to part ways because not financially, but because they didn't treat us well. They disrespected our teams, and we, so that growth of how we're growing both financially and from a brand perspective, we check into that obviously quarterly, and we go through those quarterly motions. Please don't let any entrepreneur cheat you that they don't have that thing of, guy, we've had no work, or there's no billing for next month. We have that motion. And that motion is very important to have with your team as well because they're as invested in your business as you are. But at the end of the year, we say, okay, someone told me the other day, and she really helped me with this because I was struggling with, the fact that there was no billings. Things have been slow. 3 of our clients are restructuring, so they've put all the stuff they do on hold. And she said to me, Zah, sometimes God slows you down to speed you up. And now in the next 3 months, we have so many gigs that is going to make up for all the months we've not had work. So that's how we look at the business. In the ideal world, you have monthly KPIs, monthly revenue that might come up. But the reality is, we're in a world you can cancel us. You can say we're not going to do the event, and it's happened to us many times. We're in a world where somebody cheaper is picked. We're in a world where somebody's friend is picked over you. But we're also in a world where people really like us, and in their right time, they come and look for us, which is what's happening in this next quarter.
Yeah.
So June, July, August have been extremely slow for us, but November, December will make up for it. So from that perspective, we have months where you sit down and you say, okay, so we don't have work, but instead of sitting here and crying and sharing tissue boxes, we sit and say, okay, where are we? Where next? And I think that's where the winning comes from, is when you understand, okay, businesses, and any entrepreneur is going to tell you, whatever kind of business you're in, there'll be great months and there'll be months where you want to cry tears.
Yeah.
It's just, what are you doing with both months for your business?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a very fancy way of saying all the things I wanted to say.
But I mean, it works. And I've
does.
understood exactly what you're saying. I just want to wind up back on the financial part. And have you been sort of on a journey to try and make back the amount of money you were making when working at Safaricom? Has that been an objective for you?
Interesting question. I don't think I ever went and said, because I no longer earn this amount of money at Safaricom X, that's what I need. What I'm focused on is building my brand first, the Be Experience Company as a brand, because I truly believe the revenue will follow. And it has. Genuinely, it has. We have not delivered any losses in our first 3 years. And I think that's super important. I think that's what's important is that was my previous life. And I think that's the understanding. And I always say that's what happened there. I'm not chasing that I must replace that revenue. And that's what's driving me. What's driving me is that my company gets to be known for what it's worth. Remember that thing I told you I was taught to build the brand the business will follow?
Yeah.
That's happening. Where I would like BE to be known as a solid, reliable, trustworthy agency, curator of great experiences that truly brings brands to life, and people will then choose us over anybody else, and that money will come with it. So no, it's not a driver. It's an enabler, not... I don't see it as... I wake up every day. Money is important, but it's currently on the journey I'm on. It's building the brand first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have had a 2-hour conversation.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine. Yeah. 2 hours.
Though I feel like I've barely touched on this new life. I feel like you asked me so much stuff about my previous life. It should be about my... Yeah, it felt very much about my...
Your old life as
Safaricom
opposed to
life.
like what you're trying to do right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is fine.
What would you have wanted to say that
no,
you haven't
nothing.
said?
I think you touched on it. I think some of the biggest things I've learned over the past 3 years, if I'm to kind of wrap up what entrepreneurship looks like, is, and I think this was a very good thing that I did, and a lesson that I would always tell people is, unless you're in the equipment industry, like in our industry, whether you're a sound company or a sound and tech or media company where you have to invest in
Equipment,
etc. One of the best decisions I took as BE was not to go out and spend my money in looking for an office space and hiring people and paying rent and having all these things, because it would have put me out in the first year. It would have finished. Remember that bonus I talked about?
Yes.
I would have gone and sold that land in order to pay rent. And one of the best decisions we took was, actually, we don't need anything. We can work from wherever we can work. So in the past 2 years, we've been working from wherever. Our partners, Carnival, have been so gracious. They give me a board. They give me space whenever I need. We've worked in clients' offices. We've worked in places like Kofisi. We've never needed, and that's probably the best decision we made, or I made, as a sole proprietor, was not to rush to do what is expected of us. And the expectation is that you're going to leave and have a big office and look like every other agency, that you've got 10 staff members and a tea lady who's serving, and you've got 10 people sitting and you're looking busy, but actually you have no work.
Yeah.
Then you're wondering, how am I paying salaries? How am I paying rent, etc. We just got our office this year, 3 months ago. We built our office. So that was probably the smartest decision I took at the time. Otherwise, I can promise you the first year I would have packed my bags and had to restart again.
Yeah.
That was the big one. And then the second one is investing in the brand, and just making sure that even we've done events where we've broken even, we've taken a lesser agency fee because we've understood that doing work with that brand, and they may not have a lot of money, but forget this thing and I hate this thing and I wish people would stop saying, do this gig because, ukifanya, wengine no. It's actually the association for my brand with your brand, like Solfest, for example. Even if we didn't make money from it, we did. But if we didn't, what's the kind of doors Solfest has opened for us is an investment. And people need to see business like that I can't come in and charge you. We're worth our money. And when clients tell us we're expensive, we say, okay, where do we meet you? Where can we meet you? And it comes to a point where we won't negotiate beyond the point because we know we can't deliver quality. And it's not so much about driving a deal for you, but also the brand impact it has on us. If you come into an event that we're doing that's not done well or doesn't go well, you will walk out and say, BE did a horrible job.
Yes.
must protect our brand at all times. So brand is also a big one for us at the moment.
Okay. You said 3. Is there a third?
The third one. Build the brand, the business will follow. Be careful, the honest. Grow slow but steady. That's my third one. The other day, one of my team members was like, Zah, why aren't we pitching for XYZ? And I was like, because XYZ will deliver losses. We may look like we're doing work for big things, big brands, but actually we might be taking on more than we can actually handle. So in our first 3 years, we were very careful on how much work we were doing. So if we do your event this week, we'll not pick another one that's competitive, or we'll pull time away from delivering well for you. It's in our plan that we'll go in the next 3 years to be able to do a lot more. But if we're committed to you, we're committed to you, and you get all of us. And that's something that has worked well for us. It's meant sometimes letting go of some billings, but it also means we are delivering to the client at the level we promised, but we're also doing what the brand promised it would do.
Yeah.
So those 3. Build and a pace that you can manage.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we're done.
Phew. Okay.
Anyway, thank you so much for honoring our invite and for coming onto Financially Incorrect and telling us all these, telling us your story, and as vulnerably as you did. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching Financially Incorrect. It's a Friday. I will let you say your last thing that you want to say, if you want to say it, or where people can find you in the business, if you want to say that kind of thing. This is your camera.
Thank you. We're the Be Experience Company. You can find our latest work is actually on Instagram. You can find us under Be_experience. Just find us. Boy, my social media person would be like, that you couldn't get right in one moment. But look for us. We bring brands to life. We'll be excited too. We can take on. We've done weddings in the Mara. We're doing big things like Solfest. So looking forward to this.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much for joining me this Friday, whenever it is you're going to watch this podcast. And we will see you next week on the next episode of Financially Incorrect.